Welcome again to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis. Alongside me for the next 3 hours is the inimitable Omen himself, Spencer Oliver. We will have all the action in the fight world for you. We'll be dissecting and analysing the fight that British fans have craved for a decade. Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Or is it Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua? He's the president of the Anthony Joshua Society, and I suppose I'm the Fury fanboy, as people put it. We'll discuss that, and we'll take all your calls on that fight in half an hour's time. We're joined by many people tonight. Journeymen, Echo Esserman. We'll talk Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois, which will be live at next weekend for talkSPORT. All that and much, much more coming up on Fight Night with me, Gareth Davis, and Spencer Oliver now. Just going to enjoy a little bit of this beat for a while, because I am enjoying you tonight, sir. Later on in one section, big news as it's been in the fight world this week, Spencer Oliver. Tonight, 28 years ago, May the 2nd, your career came to a shuddering halt. I was there when you fought Sergei Devikov at the Albert Hall, and you suffered an incredibly debilitating brain injury. We're going to talk about it in detail later, but my word, my gracious, I'm glad you're here 28 years later.
Oh, trust me, I'm glad I'm here as well. And do you know what, Gareth? It was something that I probably spent the best part of 15 years sitting in a dark room on this day, crying my eyes out, trying to work it out, trying to figure it out. And then the last 13 years, when I figured it out, I thought, what a blessing, what a gift. I'm still here, survived the story, can tell it. Brilliant news.
We will go more into that in detail later about those 15 years in the dark room, if you like, and we've become very close brothers over the year. Even though we have our disputes online and on air, we will get into that later on, but I'm not going to dispute tonight that I love the fact you are here.
Do not go soft on me tonight, by the way. Don't feel sorry for me tonight. Do not go soft. Let's carry on with those disputes, and I'm sure we're going to have a few tonight.
All right, you small, bald, bearded man. Okay.
Less of the bearded.
We'll get into that later, and if you want send any messages over for Spencer in that section, please do, by the way. And we know that he's got a lot of fans out there who listen to Fight Night and this show. So, what we know, what we think, what we believe. Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. Finally announced, a signed, sealed and delivered. Maybe I jumped the gun a few weeks ago in Dublin. Copped some flack for that. But obviously these talks were going on behind the scenes, separately and independently, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, with Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudi Arabians, to get this over the line. Let's have a little listen to the AJ and Fury contretemps, shall we call it that, at Spurs a couple of weeks back, when Tyson Fury, WWE-like, and in some ways MMA-like, called out Anthony Joshua to meet him in the ring because it was time for the showdown.
Next, I want to give you the fight you've all been waiting for. I want you, AJ, Anthony Joshua. Let's give the fight fans what they want. The Battle of Britain. And here's my challenge. I challenge you, Anthony Joshua, to fight me, the Gypsy King, next. Do you accept my challenge?
Tyson, I've never had no problem getting in the ring with you. I punched you up when we were kids. And after watching you here tonight, I'll punch you up again. With all due respect, tonight is your night, and you know I'll sit across that ring from you in due time. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. I've been chasing you for the last 10 years. When you're ready, you come and see me and tell me your terms and conditions, and I'll have you in the ring when I'm ready. I'm the boss.
I'll have you when I'm ready. I'm the landlord, as he said, and you're paying the rent. We'll go into the wheres and wherefores of what happens between now and when they fight. But at the moment, We know that they will probably fight in the last quarter of 2026, all things being well and equal, that they are aiming for it to be at Wembley Stadium, and that's because of the hints from Turkey Al Sheikh about London taxi drivers get ready. Frank Warren saying on White and Jordan this week that they're looking at the end of October. Whether that's viable or not, I don't know. Will all depend on the next fight that Anthony Joshua has and whether Tyson Fury wants a warm-up fight as well. But to all intents and purposes, Spencer, this fight, after so long, is finally on.
Yeah. It's a fight that we've been waiting for the best part of a decade, isn't it? And I know that a lot of people are going to say it's a fight that's now come too late, but you can't deny that this fight is still the biggest fight in boxing. These guys have both transcended outside of the sport of boxing for both of their reasons. You know, Anthony Joshua become that role model after winning the 2012 Olympics, turned his life around and it was inspirational to millions of kids that were out there. And Tyson Fury, with his mental health troubles, coming back the way that he come back, the bipolar and all of that sort of stuff has been inspirational to people as well. So they've transcended out of the sport of boxing. So whether it's too late or not too late, yeah, they are probably past their best. But it makes it an entertaining fight. And we need it for the modern era of heavyweight boxing. This is a legacy fight. And this will be a fight that people will talk about in years to come.
It's a legacy fight. It's a British bragging rights fight. My understanding is that they could earn 100 million each for this contest. So in many ways, it completes the era. And if it's a good first contest, and we'll get into where we think the fight will go when it goes, we may well get a second fight in the spring of next year. That's not unthinkable. It's certainly plausible between these two guys, and there's certainly the money there in the Saudi Arabian Turkey Al Sheikh coffers to make that a reality. Let's look at their careers a little bit. They're both two-time heavyweight champions of the world, and we'll come to who's the A side and who's the B side in this for the walkouts, for the posters, and all those things. We can get into that debate, and we want to know what you guys out there tonight think of that. And in 30 minutes' time, we want to know your views and your calls. Please bring them in and give us your views. Tyson Fury, as you say, Anthony Joshua, 2012 onwards, a silver at the World Olympic Championships, Amateur Championships, then into the Olympic Games. No better trampoline or elevation than winning a super heavyweight gold in boxing on your own home London Games, and propelling him into superstardom in the mainstream. He's been an extraordinary character all the way along the line. Gen Z generation leader for me, an incredibly wealthy man now, incredibly intelligent, clever about the way he's done his business, a great team around him, and prayers to the two of the members of his team he lost at the end of last year, always go out from us. Wins the world title, goes on an incredible run, beats Vladimir Klitschko, loses to Andy Ruiz on his American debut, wins the belt back, has two frustrating fights against Alexander Usyk, but gets better each time. But for me, always staying with it, always wanting to learn more, yep. Traversing the world. As you say, he's transcended boxing, he's transcended sport, and he's traversed the world looking for the right matchup of a trainer. He's been through 5 or 6 because he's a perfectionist, but he can't quite find perfection.
Yeah, an overthinker, I would say as well. You know, that Anthony Joshua's always been an overthinker. That's the way he was as an amateur. Known him since he was a kid that come into the sport of boxing. You know, he's one of those guys that asks questions. He soaks everything up. You know, maybe he's guilty of sort of overthinking certain situations.
Is that a danger as a boxer to overthink?
Yeah, it is a danger. That's
an instinctual sport.
What is he searching for? Has he been searching for something that's maybe always been on his doorstep? Changing trainers all the time, looking for something different, going over stateside, training over there with Derek James and coming back again, and just trying to find something. You go, well, it may have always been there. Sean Murphy, who looked after you and took you, through the ranks as an amateur. You know, you still work down closely with Sean down the gym. Was that the guy that you could sort of feel more secure with there? Maybe, I understand Joshua's journey, and I understand that he's looking to better and improve himself all the time, but maybe just overthinking it. And like with boxing is something where it's instinctive.
You get the grooves right, though, don't you? You have to get the grooves, and the hours in, and the practice, but then it's instinctive in the actuation of it.
In the moment, it's instinctive, right? So if you start thinking about what your opponent's doing, you're losing. So the way that boxing works is you have to keep your opponent thinking about you all the time. If he's thinking about you all the time and you're thinking about what you're doing, he's thinking about what you're doing, you're in control of the fight. As soon as you start overthinking, because boxing is instinctive, it's just like, it's repetition in boxing. You do things, you do drills in training where it becomes instinctive in the ring. Do you understand?
Exactly. You have to be in that groove in order to find that instinct.
And I think with Anthony, and when he's been knocked out on those couple of occasions, Andy Ruiz Jr. back in 2019, Madison Square Garden, we saw it more recently against Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk losses. But the ones where he's been knocked out there, you go, then he's sort of overthinking the situation. You have to put that to bed, history, move on. And if you can't move on, it affects the performance.
I think he had a period in his career, because we're going to go into Tyson Fury in a minute as well and analyse his career. There was a period with Derek James and a couple of other trainers where he was too defensive behind the jab, in my view. For me, even against Daniel Dubois, he was fighting to the last.
Yep.
Even against Andy Ruiz, he was fighting to the last. His most frustrating nights were the 2 nights against Alexander Usyk, in my view. Look what he did against Francis Ngannou. He's a destroyer. He was a destroyer at the beginning. He was a destroyer when he won the world title, Charles Martin, the IBF. He was a destroyer against Klitschko. He had his problems in that fight as well against Vladimir Klitschko. But it was one of the most amazing nights I've ever attended and worked on because of the atmosphere at Wembley and the thrill of the fight itself, where he walked away thinking he'd won after 5, but then he was knocked down himself soon afterwards and came back in the 11th, and it was crowned as an amazing victory on an amazing night with 2 great gentlemen fighting each other. But for me, I think he's rediscovered or knows now that he's a danger merchant. He brings danger, and that's what he's got to deliver when he goes into big fights. It's what he's got to deliver when we eventually talk about this tonight, when he goes in against Tyson Fury. He's got to go and look and wreck people, not try and box them.
Great breakdown, and that's exactly what he's got to do. He's not got to overthink it. That's not your main asset. That's not your main quality. You don't go in there. You're not a boxer. You fight with your heart on your sleeve, and that's what took you to where you got to. That's what won you the British and Commonwealth titles. That's what won you the world title in your 14th fight as a professional against Charles Martin. Went out there and just obliterated him and started steamrolling through everyone. And I think where the problems maybe first begun with Anthony Joshua, with the overthinking, was a fight that you mentioned there, Vladimir Klitschko, when he was on top in the fight and he looked like he was going to get rid of Klitschko, who was, considered, the greatest champion of that time.
And 40.
Yeah, but been around a long time. And it was a calculated gamble and a perfect opponent for Joshua to have on your CV. And he had to pick himself off the floor. And I think once he got floored, when he was on top, he got floored. And to his credit, he come back. It took him 3 rounds to come back. But he certainly, when he did get himself back in the fight, he knocked Klitschko out in that 11th round. And that was his crowning moment. That was probably one of his best fights. And
No question.
But looking back on it, I just think there's always maybe what that done there was that then impregnated something in Anthony Joshua's brain that just sort of grew. Do you know what I mean? Where he overthought it. This whole thing where I don't want to take too many chances in case I get clipped. And you can't have that because your main asset, your main quality is that ruthlessness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what he needs to rediscover. And I think that's what he's been trying to rediscover.
But I remember discussing, we've got to go to break in a minute. And after this, we'll analyse Tyson Fury and then we'll get into both men and the opponent that Anthony Joshua is going to face on July the 25th in Riyadh. But what he also did that night, and the late, great Colin Hart, I remember sharing this conversation with Colin on the Sunday morning, what Anthony Joshua showed that night against Klitschko, which made him such a great hero, was to rise from the fall and show second wind, show heart, show desire, show all the mores, all the traits of a great champion that night. Is he still the great destroyer? We will discuss this more coming up next with me and Spencer.
want to see that thriller? Can you me Villa? You almost won hell of a beating Gabby Agbon. Can you me Gabby? You almost won hell of a beating Hooters Villa Park Bullring. Legs 11. Can you me legs 11? You almost won hell of a beating Prince Willie, big Prince Willie. You almost won hell of a beating Andy Townsend, Randy Lerner, Ron Saunders, Dane Saunders, Ron Saunders, Dane Saunders, Ron Saunders, can you be Saunders? You almost won hell of a beating Hooters, Jory Quarter, Cadbury's World, Jack Grealish, Gabby Akbar Lahore, can you be Gabby? You almost won hell of a beating.
Hooters is in Nottingham, by the way.
Hooters, can you be Hooters? You almost won hell of a beating. Hooters, can you be Hooters? You almost won hell of a beating.
Nottingham Forest take the lead.
Hooters, can you
Oh,
be
mate,
Hooters?
come on.
You almost won hell of a beating. Gabby Akbar Lahore, you won a beating.
They go to Villa Park next week, 1-0 up. Another UEFA handball, though, leads to a penalty for Chris Wood. Villa fans, did you do enough tonight? It was a bit flat. 03717 22 33 44. Vito Pereira, though, looking like a really good appointment for Nottingham Forest right now. Get involved in the show. Elsewhere, Crystal Palace, they got the job done. Tough away day against Shakhtar. They are on their way to the final. Massive, massive result for them. What a season they could end up having.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Davis. Spencer the Omen Oliver celebrating his 28th anniversary of second life, I'd like to say, after his horrific brain injury. We're going to go into that in detail tonight, later on in about an hour and a half's time. So we're on Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury right now. Announced this week, of course, or 5 days ago now, that the men had signed, sealed, and now we will get it delivered in between the third and the fourth quarter of 2026. Late October, Frank Warren's saying, but I think there's talks about it being involved, them getting involved in November as well. Hopefully, it'll be Wembley Stadium, and hopefully we'll get 2 fights out of it as well. We just spoke about Anthony Joshua, that really knowing who he is, and George Foreman said this about him, the late, great George Foreman said this to me about him many years ago, Spencer, that if he knows what he is, he will go very far, and he needs to know that he's a destroyer of other fighters rather than a boxer.
Well, this is the big question, isn't it? If he knows what he is, because that's what he's been searching for. When you see him going around travelling, looking for other trainers, looking for something that maybe, like I said to you, might be on his doorstep. You know, you look at the victories that he's had, and the victories go down, and that's where he's ruthless and goes out there and he destroys, seeks and destroys. That's where he's strong. When he goes out there and overthinks things, he comes up, second best. We saw it against Usyk a couple of times. More recently against Daniel Dubois, he went out there and he looked like he was performing like getting caught a lot with Daniel Dubois. He looked like he was pulling it back, and he went in there reckless, and Dubois flattened him.
He did, but he also hurt Dubois in that fight as well, and could have won himself, because he knew that if he'd got to Dubois, he may have been able to stop him. Someone was texting you just now saying, why aren't you mentioning the Dubois fight? Is it airbrushed out of history? No, of course it isn't. We discussed it in the first section as well. We want you to get your calls in tonight, by the way, on 03717 223344, because we're going to have half an hour of debate coming up on what your views are on who wins this, who's the A-side, is it too late? Into Tyson Fury for a minute now. Incredible rise from 2015 onwards, Spencer, where he beats Vladimir Klitschko, the reigning champion in the heavyweight division, the slumbering in some ways heavyweight division for a decade, in which it didn't really thrill, it didn't really entice too much, but that was given to some of the brilliance of Vladimir Klitschko and his ability to nullify everyone who stepped in against him, David Haye included in that number, of course. He never stepped up against Deontay Wilder, which was an odd one as well. But Tyson Fury comes along, he unseats Klitschko late in 2015 in Dusseldorf. It was incredible to be there, the crowning moment for the Gypsy King. Then he goes into the abyss, into the wilderness, has mental health problems. He's away for 2 years. He has drug issues to deal with. He's suicidal. He has an incredibly low time in his life, but then comes back against Deontay Wilder, 2018, a trilogy of fights spanning 3.5 years, an incredible trilogy in the heavyweight division. He's unseated and usurped, dethroned in this great Saudi finance era under Turki al-Sheikh in 2 incredible fights in Saudi Arabia. And now he is there sitting, trying to find the final filaments, if you like, the final fundamentals of the era against a guy he was destined always to fight in Anthony Joshua. And Tyson Fury showed, I think, 2 weeks ago against Arslanbek Makhmudov in Spurs, that there is something left in the old legs, 38 as he is in August. And he's had an incredible journey. The 2 series on Netflix, At Home with the Furies, and has become a global superstar.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't know what was a bigger victory for Tyson Fury, you know, going out there to Dusseldorf and turning over the long reigning Vladimir Klitschko. And no one felt that Fury was good enough at that stage of his career.
Apart from Frank Warren.
Yeah, apart from Frank Warren, to turn Klitschko over. And he'd done it in style. And he got a rare victory on foreign soil there. And that will go down as a massive thing in boxing. But what was the bigger victory, Gareth? Was it beating Klitschko, or was it the comeback, the way he come back after all the issues that he went through in his personal life? You saw him, you saw the weight that he ballooned up to, and you think he's never going to return, never get back to any sort of thing. And then that amazing trilogy with Wilder, it's quite incredible, inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most thrilling fight when he beat Vladimir Klitschko, but like you say, it rubber stamped him with an amazing IQ. He took the jab away from Klitschko, and he wasn't able to detonate the right hand. What we had in the Battle of Los Angeles in 2018 was Tyson Fury having shed 9 stone in weight, the weight of the great Ricky Hatton, basically, the late, great Ricky Hatton in weight, close friends as they were, and we remember him in these few weeks now. At the moment, BKB, the bare knuckle, are putting a whole tribute week to Ricky Hatton. Can't wait to be in Manchester in the next 2 weeks to remember Ricky, by the way. We're going to remember him tonight a little bit too. But when Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder, the most dangerous punching heavyweight in history, I think he proved in that first fight, because most of us had him winning, even though it was a draw, that not only could he get knocked down in the 9th, not only could he get up in the 12th round, almost like a miracle, like a resurrection, he could come back from that horrific time physically, mentally and emotionally and fight a very, very dangerous opponent. Because no one wanted to fight Wilder at the time. I don't think Eddie Hearn, particularly at the time, wanted to put Anthony Joshua in with Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder was the most feared man on the planet then. When Tyson Fury went over there, and after a couple of mediocre warm-up fights, he got the opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder. No one felt that Tyson Fury was going to be good enough to dethrone Deontay Wilder, you know, on his home soil. and he went out there, and that, like you say, the resurrection in that 12th round, because I remember watching that fight, and I remember Tyson Fury hitting the floor.
Your breath goes in, doesn't it?
Well, no, the breath went in, and I just thought it's all over because Tyson was there, and he was still, and he was sleeping. I literally turned around. I think I was going to make a cup and put the kettle on. You're all stressed out. Tyson Fury, what an amazing comeback. What an incredible story this was going to be. Turned around to put the kettle on, and all of a sudden I heard the crowd going wild. Tyson Fury somehow got to his feet on the count
and
of 8.
He's giving it back. And he's giving it back.
Yeah, he didn't just get up and survive. He put it on Deontay Wilder, and that was an incredible performance. And then obviously the 2 fights after that were even more sensational, with Tyson Fury winning both of those.
So look, we're going to take your calls. If you can put the number up, yes, 03717 223344. We're going to take your calls after break. There you go, 03717 223344. Texts to 81089. On X at talkSPORT, and on WhatsApp we can also take your calls 03717 223344. And we want a vibrant debate over the next half an hour. Even though Anthony Joshua is going to face the Albanian Christian Prenga on July the 25th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, expected to win that comfortably, I want to have a quick debate with you about who's the A side on this before we hear from Frank Warren, that I just want to respond to as well. For me, after having said all the things we've just said, for me, Anthony Joshua is the B side in this, and Tyson Fury is the A side. Where do you stand?
It's a tough call for me on this one, to be fair, and I know that you're going to say the AJ.
Well, you're the vice, or Adi Oladipo, and you, the president stroke vice president
I saw you
of the Anthony Joshua Lovin' Club.
I saw
the fanboy club.
I saw you doing that small show that you do with Adi Oladipo. Anyway, it's another conversation. But yeah, I saw that, and I did saw that you called me out on that one, saying that. But look, I've always been a supporter of Anthony Joshua. I have, like you have with Tyson Fury as well.
I'm a supporter of Anthony Joshua.
Listen, I think they both.
You're a supporter of Tyson Fury as well.
Absolutely. That's what I was just about to say to you. I think they both bring a lot to the table. I think at this stages of their careers, I don't think there is an A-side in this one. I think they're both A-sides. Look, they have transformed the sport of boxing. You know, they've took it to another level. They've filled stadiums off the back of both of their performances. We finally get what we want as boxing fans, but we...
Right, so how do we do the poster? How do we do the poster, and how do we do the walk?
Do you know how you do it? I think that it's one of those old school situations where I remember, I remember going into one of my fights once when I boxed Patrick Mullins. We were both undefeated at the time. We didn't know who the A side was.
You were brilliant that night.
Didn't know who the A side was. It was for my first title, so we were both undefeated. So who's going to be the A side on this one? Because we both we flipped a coin. Who's going to walk first? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I lost, by the way. I was the first one in the ring. I was the one that done the ring walk and everything else. But I don't know who the A side is with these two.
Do they get Turkey LL shaped together and they flip a giant gold bullion bar or something? One with Anthony Joshua's face on one side and one with Tyson Fury's on the other. Something like that. We're going to have to get this to go on comment.
Just quickly. No, the reason why I want to say is, it will be like, listen, we're talking about the psychological battle that will begin now with these two, you know? It's all about the mindset, getting in. Tyson Fury's great at getting inside fighters' heads. That's where fights can be won and lost. Before the first bell rings.
Get inside Joshua's
head. That's what I'm saying. Before the first bell rings. Well, this is another one of those. This is another one of those situations. Who gets the A side thing? You know, does that get into the opponent's head? Does it? Do you know what I'm saying?
AJ's not a games merchant. He stands tall. He's Adonis-like. He's very stoic. Whereas Fury's playing those games all the time, isn't he?
I think it's very hard to get inside Tyson Fury's head, but it's not so hard to get inside Anthony Joshua's head. That's the difference. You know.
So you're under. I do like your answer that they're both the A side. We're going to come to Frank Warren's comment at the beginning of the next section because I need to play it out and answer it. But I do think you've got a point that it's very hard to separate these two men in terms of being the A side. I think in terms of noise made, in terms of global stardom, I do think it's Tyson Fury because he made it in America as well. And Anthony kind of made it with that Jake Paul thing and got Netflix interested, which we must mention. It's going to be on Netflix. he definitely got the eyes of Netflix when he was over there against Jake Paul in December. Everyone loved Anthony in America. They didn't love him in the same way when he went over in 2019 and lost to Andy Ruiz. And yet there was a giant billboard of him in Times Square and in Madison Square Garden. It was all set up for him, but it fell on its face, unfortunately.
And that Netflix series that Tyson Fury done, you know, you're talking about reaching the masses, man. You're talking about global stardom, you know, and that is the difference here. That Tyson Fury, you know, with the whole Netflix things, but having the trilogy with Deontay Wilder, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, he is more known stateside. So, you know, on the global scene, maybe Tyson Fury is the A side, but that doesn't mean that one of them's going to want to give that up going into the fight. When you're talking about it from boxing terms, you just look at it and go, I don't know who's the A side in this one going in.
I think it's Fury. I think it's Fury, and you can disagree with me, of course.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I'm talking about people who are going to call in now.
I'm just saying, I'm just sitting on the...
That's fine.
I've got splinters at the moment.
I know, and I get you on that. I do get you on that. You can call us and discuss this over the next half an hour. Is this fight too late? Who wins this fight? How do they win it? Am I right? Is Spence right? Am I wrong? Is Spencer wrong? AJ versus Fury on 03717 2233 44. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT. Join us after the break. Once I've read this, you're listening to Fight Night live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Mikel Arteta obviously hasn't been able to call on Bukayo Saka enough over the course of this period. We know he's had a bit of an Achilles problem. Does he still look to you like he's struggling for a little bit of fitness?
Yes.
And if that's the case, how long is that going to take to sort out?
It's going to need managing between now and the end of the season.
He hasn't had surgery on it, has he?
No, and obviously you've got the World Cup coming up as well, and he's going to be a key man there. I wonder how many minutes he'll get this weekend. He got, 21 plus stoppage time in midweek. You think maybe he might get half an hour, 45, and then possibly start against Atletico Madrid. But it's certainly a problem.
Some of these niggling injuries, though.
Well.
Some of these injuries wouldn't surprise me. Saka's still struggling, Sam. And he's come to the stage where he's come back because it's crunch time for Arsenal, even with an injury. There's so many injuries, Crookie, that injections to get you through it, and then you're sore until you play again. You don't train. So they've got to be careful with Saka. But
that was the idea of having the big squad, wasn't it? That
exactly.
You could afford to rotate a bit more.
When players aren't turning up, Madueke starts the game bright against Atletico Madrid, fades, looks angry, and he comes off. I don't know why you don't do enough. Odegaard, your captain, you're not doing enough. Eze's probably been the bright spark in the last few games for Arsenal.
It wasn't a bad result, though, was it?
No, not at all. Oh, great result. Great result. But it's not just this game, Sam. It's the game before against Newcastle. The fans, they're anxious. It showed the fans all through the game against Newcastle. They're biting the nails. After 50 minutes, they're nervous.
It doesn't seem to come easy to Arsenal at the moment. They don't seem to have it.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth A. Davis. We are having a debate about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, who will finally, after a decade on the same trajectory as heavyweights and two-time world heavyweight champions, will finally meet two huge figures from British sport and from global boxing. Well, I wrote a column about that on Monday or Tuesday in the Telegraph, and Jim White and Simon Jordan or at least Jim did on their show, read a part of the piece out, in which I think I was indicating that had it not been for Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudi Arabians, we may not have got this contest at this time, even not at all. And Frank Warren responded to that, and I'd like to respond to him tonight and get your view on it, Spencer, as well. Here's what Frank had to say.
Gareth Davis, I mean, I'm very cynical about him. I mean, that piece this morning, he was talking about how AJ was on a roll, how he got it together after his losses to Ruiz and to Usyk. But he hasn't, and the way it's written, that he never lost since then. He got stopped in the fight, must be 18 months ago, whatever it was, against Daniel Dubois, who had him on the floor, I think, 4 or 5 times. So, look, Gareth Davis, for me, I'm very, as I said before, I may have said it on your show, but I've said it to a lot of people, I'm very, very disappointed in him. I feel that he's, I don't feel he talks with a straight tongue. He speaks with forked tongue, as my Apache friends would say. Look, first of all, we say the Telegraph, he writes for the Ring magazine as well. He's employed by Ring magazine. Ring magazine are promoters. He writes for a promoter.
Well, a quick response from me to Frank over that. I do write for Ring, but I write for the Ring magazine, not Ring Online, which is slightly different. Already this year, I've done an interview with Frank in Ring magazine. I think I've only laid out what I believe is happening at the moment. The tectonic plates of promotion are shifting in boxing, and I think Anthony Joshua has resurfaced his career. He has regained something in his career. And lastly, I think that had it not been for Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudi Arabians, we may never have got this fight, because big fights like this always rely on timing and ego and money. And when the money's there, the timing and the ego disappears out the window. And I think that's what we've got in this scenario. I don't know what your take on it, but that's my take and response to Frank, who I have great respect and admiration for.
Listen,
anyway.
There's a lot of truth in what you're saying there. Look, it is all about timing, and I think the timing is right for both of these guys now because of the stage of their careers that they're at now. We got to remember that Tyson Fury was on BT Sport, wasn't he? Anthony Joshua was on Sky Sports at the time. It was always a political thing, like who was going to take 60-40 splits? Could they agree on 50-50s? What station was it going to go on? The fight was on, the fight was off, because maybe egos got in the way. One didn't want to give up to the other one. That one was world champion, then the other one was world champion. So there was a lot of problems surrounding making that fight. And Turki Al-Sheikh come along, he sort of took all those problems away because, like you say, money speaks, but also that he had the finances to do it and put it under one umbrella, which was the zone.
Well, both Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury's promoters have deals with DAZN.
Yeah,
Fury and Joshua will take place on Netflix. It's all about the fight being bought out in many ways.
Yeah,
and as Frank, the promoter Frank Warren, said on White and Jordan earlier in the week, it's not up to me where it's going to take place because they have the say in it. H.E. Turki Al-Sheikh and his people have the say in it, and they've done a deal with Netflix. It's the biggest boxing event, even though it's late, and we want your calls on this now.
Yeah,
it's later than Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. It's later, in some ways it is. In some ways it's later than Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. In some ways it's later than Amir Khan and Kell Brook. There have been lots of these in history.
I totally agree. Listen, I totally agree with that. But look, yes, it is, it is maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years too late, maybe 5 years past their primes, these two guys, but it still remains the biggest fight in boxing. And the fights that you mentioned there, Amir Khan and Kell Brook, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, you're talking about those sort of fights. You go, people still wanting to watch it because they were still huge fights. Yes,
exactly.
They were past the best, and that's unfortunate, but we still get the
It's
fights
still
that
intriguing. It's still really... Well, let's get your calls on this
bigger.
anyway.
It's probably bigger.
It probably
now.
is. Let's go to... First of all, I've got you in order here. Let's go to Jordan, the Manchester United fan. Good evening, Jordan. It's Gareth and Spencer. How are you doing?
All good, yourself?
Good, thank you. What's your take on Fury and Joshua, then?
Pretty much what you guys have been saying anyway, to be honest. I mean, it's just... it actually frustrates me as a boxing fan that this is happening now. If this was to happen, I think what Spencer literally said 2 seconds ago, 6 years ago, even possibly 10, like the actual real boxing fans that watch boxing week in, week out would be so more, like, much more excited about this fight. But the reason this is going to sell so much, which and it probably will be one of the highest selling boxing fights ever, is because of the names of Tyson and Joshua. Their social media following, for example, with Tyson's Netflix documentary, that's just going to bring in X amount of people that don't watch boxing week to week, but will watch this fight because of who it is.
If it was 6 years ago, 6 years ago, we would not have had such a big audience. I think it would have done 3 million on pay-per-view. I think this might do over 50 million on Netflix.
I totally agree with that. And I think the reason the fight is probably bigger now than it maybe even was 5-10 years ago, forget where these guys are in their primes. I think the reason it is bigger now is because Tyson Fury and the Netflix situation and everything else. And both these guys transcend outside of the sport of boxing. So the little old lady that lives next door to me, Eve, she'll be sitting at home and going, oh, Tyson Fury, I wouldn't mind watching that one, but she would never watch any other boxing match. That's what I'm talking about. Transcends outside the sport.
Let me go back to Jordan. Jordan, is this a closer fight than it was 6 years ago, and who have you got winning it?
Oh, I don't know if it closer fight. I don't think so. Actually, I think 6 or 7 years ago, I'd be fancying Joshua more. I'm a massive Joshua fan, but right now, I think Tyson's going to have this one quite, not comfortably, but I think easier than most people think. I think Joshua's very past it now, and he hasn't got his haymakers like he used to, and his chin now it's been wobbled so many times. I just think it's made of glass.
Who's the A side?
For me, it's Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury wins this one.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Jordan. Let's go to Alan, the boxing fan, on his mobile. Sorry, Pat the geezer next. Hello, Pat.
How you doing, boys?
Good. So I'm going to ask you some direct questions, and I'm going to lead this interview with you. Thank you very much for always supporting our show. Is this too late? You're a big boxing fan. Will you still watch it, and who's the A side?
Well, I'm going to tell you something now, Gareth. I go into boxing many, many years ago. Now, when it was announced, the old juices got flowing.
Good.
Now, it's very, very well late. The two boxers should have met when they both had the belts, and it didn't happen. That's unfortunate, but there you go. Will I watch the fight? No, I won't. I will have it on talkSPORT, exactly what I'm doing now, sitting in the kitchen with my radio, which I love, with me John Smiths, with me roll-up, and I'm a very happy man. I'm not being disrespectful when I say I won't watch it. Of course I'd have watched it years ago. That's when the fight should have been made. But there it wasn't made. I don't know for what reason why, although the Deontay Wilder fight, I truly believe that took a lot out of Fury. I really do believe that. But
Pat,
then again,
Pat, who wins it? Who wins it? Because we've got a ton of callers to get through. Who wins this?
Personally, myself, I think Fury. He gave a good account of himself against Beckenberg. And, I'd say Fury.
Thanks very much, Pat, as always. Great to see you. Sean joins us. Sean, the boxing fan in London, joins us next.
Hello, chaps. How you doing? You
good,
okay?
Good evening, Sean. Very well indeed. I mean, I don't know if you've been listening, but we want...
Yeah, I have.
Go on. Give us your view.
Comments, and can I just say it's an absolute pleasure. I spoke to Spencer a few times, often bigging up the amateur game. First time to speak to you, Gareth. It's an absolute pleasure. You should have been the promoter. You really should, with the way you are good at bigging up these fights. You really should have. But I'm just going to take a little sidestep on this, because I was listening to you chaps chatting earlier. I'm sorry, I'm not in this AJ loving. I'm just not it. He, in my opinion, he is, in terms of like proper heavyweight champions, people who have reigned for a while, not your bums like Charles Franklin or Ratman, then clowns who are there for a split second. AJ is the most overrated heavyweight champion ever.
Spencer Oliver, please respond.
Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, you look at Anthony Joshua. You can't say you can't say he's the most overrated heavyweight ever. When you look at the era of boxing that he's been in, and you got your Tyson Furies, your Deontay Wilders. Okay, he's not boxed those guys, but he's regained that heavyweight title twice. So you can't be overrated. Yeah, the first fight was in his 14th fight against Charles Martin, who was, he was a weak champion. He went on and he had good victories, and Vladimir Klitschko would have been considered over the hill at the time. And when he lost the title to Andy Ruiz Jr., it was considered to be an easy fight. Yeah, I get that, but he lost that fight and he went straight back in with Ruiz out in Saudi Arabia, and he had to overcome those demons as well, and to win the fight in the manner that he won it and stay disciplined the way that he'd done it. You have to respect that. So I think overrated's probably a little bit harsh, if I'm honest, because there's been a lot worse heavyweight champions than Anthony Joshua, for sure.
I've always thought, Sean, that Anthony Joshua would end his career with a 32-5 record, something like that, because he's always shown vulnerabilities. And I think what we were talking about earlier was he's one of the most destructive finishers we've ever seen when he's on top of someone. He just struggles with someone that's got higher IQ, which, I don't know if you agree with me, is the reason why I think he may struggle against Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I am a bit of a Fury fanboy. I'm going to hold my hands up there. But the one thing I just to return back to Spencer, and Spencer, I respect you so much, and I do understand that you've got a relationship with AJ in terms of you've been around the same gym, etc., etc. So it's hard to be critical of someone you're going to bump into quite a lot. But namely, bar the Klitschko fight, we beat an old Klitschko. He lost to Andy Ruiz, who's done nothing since. He went out to Saudi Arabia, and that fight he won was a bore fest. He just jabbed the head off him. And he did, fair play, he won it, and he won it. But he won exciting. It's the only time I've seen him change gear, ever. He just goes in and bullies people. He goes in and bullies someone, and he blasts them out. And he got out-bullied, with Dubois. Dubois was younger, stronger, just out-bullied him. Namely, what, and again, I'm putting this out there, like Ben, Eubank, have all had one fight where they've gone somewhere you think, God, I didn't expect them to win that fight. Name me one fight AJ has gone and won, and you think, wow, what a win. You didn't expect him to do that.
Listen, that's a fair comment, because every fight that he's won, I've expected him to win, if I'm totally honest.
Can I throw one in your defence?
Yeah.
I was expecting him to have a difficult night against Francis Ngannou, given them what Ngannou did against Tyson Fury. And I thought it was impressive that night.
That
I mean, we were there live,
and
it was hard to watch.
Because I was a little bit worried after the Ngannou performance against Tyson Fury. I was going, that concerns me a little bit with Anthony Joshua, because Ngannou punched when Fury punched and took Fury by surprise. So I'm thinking that could be a problem for Anthony Joshua. But he got the job done. But I think when you flip it back to real boxers and you're talking about, great performances that he's had against other fighters, there's no real stellar standout name, and I agree with you on that. Where you go, that was a performance of Anthony Joshua. That's where he needs a victory on his resume, like a Tyson Fury type person.
Sean, thank you so much indeed. I don't know if there's anything else you've got to add, but we've got to go to break. Is there anything you'd like to add about this fight?
No, chaps, great conversation. You're lovely listening to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sean. You're listening or watching Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Davis. We will be back after this. More calls, please. We want to hear from you.
You seem to think that there is some connection between the nationality of the Forest manager and the nationality of the official.
You can't go
doing that on social media and then not expect us to bring it up.
No. What I said was should we look into that? I'm not saying that's the reason, but VAR official was Portuguese, not the referee. The referee, he had a fantastic game, by the way, the ref, I thought. Maybe he didn't see that incident, but for VAR official, his name is Tiago Martins, Portuguese referee. For him to not tell the ref to come and look at the screen of that tackle, I was very disappointed in. Listen, first of all, Elliot Anderson was the best player on the pitch.
What about
Fantastic.
the nutmeg on Rodgers?
I know, that's his mate as well. And he's posted it on his socials as well. But no one can tell me that watches football week in, week out, that's not a red card. Because did he get the ball first? You can argue yes. But we've seen so many players get red cards in the last 2 years when you follow through and you hit a player like that. Watkins stayed down, the ball went out of play. How can the referee not be told to go to VAR? Baffling.
I think you're absolutely right, but I also don't think Aston Villa were good enough in the game.
Oh, 100%. I'm not making excuses for Villa's performance. Buendia, soft player, not good enough for Aston Villa. Onana, made out of straw. 26 Premier League games you played last season, missed 12 games, played 24 Premier League games this season, injured again. Whenever it's a game where it's easy, he'll throw his hands up to the whole end and celebrate and get them going. When it's a tough game, he'll come off injured. So I agree.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis and I have Spencer the Omen Oliver in the studio with me for the next 2.25 hours. We are taking your calls right now on Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, which has been announced. Is it too late? Who's the A side? Who wins it? How excited are we by it? Sky Vegas, I am going to read before we go to your calls. You're listening to Fight Night Live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. All your favourite games, all in one place. Stop grinning, Spencer Oliver. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. It's your favourite 3 hours of the night, isn't it?
I'm not used to you being so mellow. I don't know what's happened, mate. I know you've been away and you've been enjoying yourself and you're all de-stressed, but it's coming out in your performance.
Oh, well, that's why you're giggling. Okay, thank you very much. I'm on my third coffee, so it'll change soon.
I thought you'd be bitching at me at some point.
I know, it's been a bit too calm.
Lovey-dovey.
Let's see if Mark, the boxing fan, could get us moving. Mark, good evening. How are you? I think we're going to go to Toby. Mark, try and get a better connection and we'll get you on in a second. We're actually going to have chats for the next 40 minutes because we're going to talk about Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois as well with your calls at the top of the hour. Toby, the boxing fan. Hello, Toby. How are you?
How you doing, Gareth? How are you doing, Spence?
Toby, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Very good. Everyone that's called Toby, I've got to ask them a question. Have you got a Toby jug somewhere on a shelf in your home?
No, I haven't.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
You look a little bit like a Toby.
Oh, there you go. You look a bit like a dwarf.
Oh, hold on.
Don't you start. So let's talk to Toby. We'll talk to each other. We'll have a go at each other in the break at 10 o'clock. Toby.
This fight about 3 years ago, we spoke about this fight in a pub in Camden.
Oh, did we?
We spent about an hour talking about this fight then over a few sambucas.
Okay, well, sure it wasn't tequilas.
It was tequilas, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's more accurate. Now I know you're not lying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of tequilas. I pulled you off your push bike to come in and chat boxing.
Oh, it's nice to hear you again. Let us know what you think about this fight now, Toby.
Everybody's saying they're not interested. It's too past this time and stuff like this. But we all said it with the fights that you named, the Mayweather fight, the other fights.
Lewis and Tyson, Khan and Brook.
The Khan and Brook one was a big one. Everybody says that they're not interested till it starts. The press conferences start, and then all eyes are on it again. And if this fight would have happened at different stages, different years, this could have happened a few times. I think you'd have a different winner each time.
Who wins now then, Toby?
I think Fury wins now. I think AJ has lost his head. I think it was the caller Sean said. Eddie done a great job with AJ, and I think once that build of thought, he was bullying opponents before they got in the ring. They were already scared. He bullied them before they got in. And now I think his head's gone. He's bouncing around camps trying to find different coaches. It's not working for him. I think he's pretty lost. If you look at Fury, the training camps he's been in, each coach, Sugar Hill, definitely massive coach. But before, all these coaches have now got massive stables thanks to Tyson's performances.
Ben Davison, of course.
Ben Davison.
Peter Fury.
Andy Lee. Ben Davison, Peter Fury.
Yeah.
All these coaches. Everyone wants to jump on anybody that goes with after Fury's been coached by him. They all think that they're going to go to him and it's going to turn them into a Fury.
But the thing is about Fury, and I know Spence will agree with me on this, he's been brought up that they've had different journeys, and I think we were kind of trying to allude to this in the first half an hour tonight, that Anthony Joshua discovered boxing. Tyson Fury was born into it. 10 generations of bare knuckle fighters. He was around Bartley Gorman, the king of the gypsies, when he was 5 years old. His father boxed. His uncle boxed. His uncles boxed. There's 15. I did a piece before his Makhmudov fight, Arslan Makhmudov. There's 15 nephews, sons of that family, who are all boxing right now, who are going to come through, not least Prince and John Boy we've seen around his training camp. They're absolutely steeped in the sport.
That's the difference, that it's in the DNA of the Furies, and that's why he's got the boxing IQ, and he's got that natural rhythm about.
That's what Toby's talking about.
Absolutely,
he's got the IQ.
I can't deny that. You can't deny that. You cannot deny that Tyson Fury is the guy that comes from that world.
Thank you very much, Toby, and I'm now recalling all those tequilas we drank together when you grabbed me off my bicycle in Camden that day. Thank you very much. Let's go to Mark, the boxing fan. Hopefully you've got a better line now, Mark. How are you doing?
Can you hear me, Gareth?
We can hear you now. What's your view on Fury and AJ, Mark?
Do you know what? I keep changing my mind. Like you said, 1 minute it's 50-50, then it's 60-40 for Fury. We don't know what AJ we're going to get. After that, that awful tragedy he was involved in, we don't know what sort of AJ, what his headspace is in. Fury, on the other hand, the mind games, he knows how to talk a fight. I mean, he doesn't need to sell this fight. I think enough people are going to tune in to see this. And yeah, it is past its sell-by date, but both of these guys have been a credit to British boxing. I think Fury will have more fights after AJ. I think this could be AJ's last fight. If he loses, I think he may, but we don't know. We don't know how he's going to get through this warm-up fight. We don't know what sort of mindset he's going to be in. But I'm intrigued. It's going to be an interesting fight, and I will certainly be tuning in.
Mark, you nailed it there, mate. That's the big thing here going into this fight, isn't it? We know we got this Christian Prenga fight coming up for Anthony Joshua, to see how he deals with the demons and psychological damage, through the tragic circumstances that happened at Christmas time in Nigeria and him losing those couple of friends. And we don't know how that's going to affect him. That's why Tyson Fury probably does go in there as the favourite, because there's baggage of Anthony Joshua. There is obvious psychological damage, and what is he coming back for? Is it, is he doing it for the wrong reasons, if you like? And I think that's the difference here. With Fury, we know where he's at, and Gareth just explained, about the boxing talent and the generations that he come from. It's in the blood. But with Anthony Joshua, we just don't quite know where he is.
Both these gentlemen have got generational wealth, so they're not doing it. If they're doing it for the money, God knows where. They've got so much money, they probably don't know what to do with it. But I'd like AJ to get through this fight and make a good account for himself, because I'd love him to fight Dylan White again. Hopefully Dylan's going to still be around if he's heard they talk about him fighting Chisora. But I'd love to see that fight again. A rematch there.
If Joshua acquits himself well, I've got Tyson Fury winning this on points, by the way. I think it will be I think Anthony Joshua will try and go after Fury, but I think he'll be too awkward for him. And I think, as we saw with Fury against Makhmudov, a lot of people will pick Fury to stop AJ, but I think he'll win on points. And if it does go on points, and it is Joshua frustrated afterwards, I could see a second fight. But I would like to see Anthony Joshua. I agree with you. I would like to see Anthony Joshua fight both Deontay Wilder and Dillian White, because then I think he rounds the era as well.
I think Deontay Wilder and Fury, like the previous caller said, and also Fury's dad, John, that fight took a lot out of Wilder and Fury, them 3 fights, But But Fury just keeps coming back, and he just, he's got fast footwork. He's got that IQ, like you guys were saying. He just reads the game so well, and I'm excited for this fight, and I just hope AJ gets past, this fight he's got coming up, and I just hope he makes a really good account of himself, because he deserves it. He deserves all the credit he gets to come back from what he's been through at Christmas. I just hope it's going to be a good fight.
Mark, thank you very much indeed, and thanks to all of you. Keep your calls coming, because on the next section we're going to have a quick chat about Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley, the WBO title being defended by Wardley in Manchester next week. We'll be there, of course, with talkSPORT Live for our watch along on the night. We want your calls on that fight, as well as still talking about Fury versus Joshua, or is it Fury? Or is it Joshua? Or is it Joshua versus Fury? Leave it there, Spence. We'll talk about it in a minute. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT.
Let's squeeze one more in. Here's the fourth.
Morning, Sean. Ali here, big Arsenal fan. I know you love a curry just like me, but I want to know, what's the best order at a curry house for Sean Dice?
Ali, it's a fair shout. Well, it always starts with Kingfisher or Cobra, obviously. Poppadoms, standard. Mixed platter sometimes. I do the full mixed grill kind of platter. But not for me. I mean, what I do, get it on the table. Everyone has a munch. Everyone dives in. I do like the hot ones. If I'm in the mood, which is rare because it's so hot, is a chicken tikka or a prawn naga, which is incredibly hot. Jalfrezi, still hot, but manageably hot. But now and again, you just want something a bit of flavour, even like something soft like a butter chicken mixed with a bit of naga. You get that going on, and you're really on to a winner then.
Yeah.
Pilau rice, I like normally on mushroom rice. Garlic coriander naan. Now and again, a chili naan, depending on what food I'm having. Onion bhaji. Anything else that's on the go, I just love it on there, because I do love a pint and a curry. It's my
I like a bit of mehdi gosht, and you've got to have dal. You've got to have taka dal. You just
Koister, I'm going to tell you, Koister's lad. I had a curry with Koister and a couple of beers one night, and Fletch and his lad ordered a Peshwari night. Now, I ain't doing it. I ain't having it. So I just absolutely ruined it. I said, your lad, I said, he needs to have a look at himself. Fruit in a bit of bread, come on.
Yeah. I tell you what, you also need for the ideal Indian, and we had this at the Lower Stuff Tandoori. We had an absolute feast, and then at the end of the night, the owner says, I'll give you a lift home in my car, boys.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967, when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved, and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93 when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Well, a warm welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis. Spencer Oliver is beside me. Well, Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions puts on Fabio Wardley's WBO world title defence against Daniel Dubois. Both great heavyweights, promoted, of course, by Frank Warren. Next Saturday, these two British knockout kings are set to collide as Fabio Wardley takes on Daniel Dubois. So let's look ahead to the big fight now with DAZN.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois. Don't blink. Next Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Well, so let's look ahead to that big fight. As I say, Frank Warren with, I think, 8 out of the top 12 heavyweights in the world right now. I mean, it's going so strongly for Queensberry. Frank's had some amazing fighters over the years, and I think there's an argument that he's probably got the strongest stable he's ever had right now. If you go all the way down through Tyson Fury, Fabio Wardley. I mean, Wardley is arguably ranked above Fury at the moment in the heavyweight rankings. Daniel Dubois, Ajit Kabayel, Lawrence Okoli, obviously, who's in abeyance at the moment.
Jolalov, who's boxing tonight as well.
You forgot a bigger Jalalov, who's boxing
double Olympic champion
on that card, not tonight. Yeah. On that card,
on that card on the 9th. On the 9th, sorry.
Janibek. What's his first name? Baldemir.
Yeah, Jolalov.
I love when you try and say
Jolalov.
Yeah, never mind. It sounds like a sausage.
Go on, you tell me how you say it.
Baldemir Jolalov.
Say again.
It doesn't sound like a sausage.
Say again.
Right? It doesn't sound like a type of Italian sausage.
It sounds like a double Olympic champion.
He is indeed a double Olympic champion. There's someone we haven't mentioned who Frank Warren hinted that he's going to have a fight soon as well. Moses Tauma in that incredible stable as well. But before we take your calls, still on Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and on Fabio Wardley in his defence of the WBO title against Daniel Dubois. What a fight this is, by the way. I every day I think about this fight. And every day, and I heard Frank Warren talking about this on one of the YouTube channels, I think it was IFL TV with Gugan Cassius. He's got 2 outcomes in this fight. I've got exactly the same. I can see the fight going 2 ways. I can see Fabio Wardley winning it. I can see Daniel Dubois winning it. I can see Daniel Dubois spectacularly outboxing Fabio Wardley if everything goes well for him on the night. I can see Fabio Wardley stopping Daniel Dubois at any point and breaking him down. I can see a 12-round war. I can see the fight ending early on either side. That's what makes this so exciting. 2 young fighters in their prime who are extremely exciting in their heavyweights.
That's why it's the greatest fight in heavyweight boxing.
It is right now.
Today, because of the style. Styles make fights, and like you say, if Daniel Dubois, there's ways. I'm the same as you. I can see Daniel Dubois winning the fight. I can see Wardley winning the fight. Wardley taking him into deep waters, grinding it out, stopping him late. Daniel Dubois going in there and getting the job done early, establishing his jab, an underrated jab, a jab that's like a right hand, finding the range with that jab, boxing to instructions and winning the fight and knocking Fabio Wardley out. It's one of those fights where you go, we're all going to have an opinion, but none of us really know. It's like what Daniel Dubois turns up. How does he turn up? Does he turn up with a game plan? Does he get drawn into the trenches early where Fabio Wardley wants to be? Fascinating fight.
It really is a fascinating fight, and we want your take on this fascinating fight right now. I'm going to go to Neil. Neil in Arsenal, or Arsenal 4 out of 5 I've got here. I don't know what that means. Arsenal fan, is it? Okay, Neil, good evening. Welcome to Fight Night on talkSPORT.
I just wanted to broaden the conversation slightly.
Well, if it's in the right direction, yes.
Yeah, it's boxing.
Okay.
I've been involved in it for all my life, really, because my grandfather was Terry Downs, who was a...
Oh, how lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, and basically, I grew up in Kilburn in northwest London, and we used to attend the Stowe Club, which was just off of Arrow Road, one of the boxing clubs.
Yeah,
and
lovely.
before boxing went through the heights it's gone through now,
yeah.
I want to give a big dig up to the travelling community who kept many of these clubs going during the late 70s and early 80s. Because there weren't kids going into boxing, and the press they get is so awful. And Tyson Fury has now become, is obviously the Gypsy King. But the kids were coming through from the underpass in on the Arrow Road and places around London like that. And the travelling community have really been generationally put so much into the boxing in the UK, and they get such a bad press. And I would just really like to say, because I know from being at the Stowe Club, Stevie Noonan's club in Harlesden, so many of the kids would come through, and one of the trainers, Ernie Foss, he said, "You give me a traveller at 12, and I'll give you a champion at 20."
Yeah, it's brilliant. You're so right. I went to visit a group of travellers who were boxing under that underpass. I don't know if it's still there on the A40. It was next to a tip, wasn't it? Like a metal merchant's. It was a brilliant place. I remember going. I can't remember the name of the boxer now. It was promoted by Mick.
Dale Youth.
No, by Mick Hennessy. No, Dale Youth was just around the corner.
Yeah.
But when I began writing about boxing in 1990, Angel ABC, Islington ABC, St Pancras, all these clubs had loads of travellers that were living in Camden. Finchley ABC, loads of travellers. And you are so right, sir, that they have been, we were saying it earlier, that Tyson Fury's DNA, if you like, the traveller DNA, it is the national sport for travellers, isn't it?
We were talking earlier on about Anthony Joshua being so inspirational and his story, the way that he come from where he come from and achieved what he achieved. Well, Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders, we must give him a shout out as well, two-time world champion middle and super middleweight. They transcended into the masses as well, but they also made the travelling community believe that they can kick on, because travelling communities, we know, their history and their background, that they love to support their families and they go out and they're working. So we see so many great fighters earning so much money outside of doing whatever they're doing and deciding to come away from the sport of boxing because they weren't getting the opportunities in boxing. Tyson Fury changed the narrative. Billy Joe Saunders changed the narrative. We go right back to like Les Stevens. You remember Les Stevens, Pinewood Star? Yeah. And Blue Stevens, his son that boxed. There's so many of the travellers.
What's also happened, Neil, and it really has happened in the last generation and a half, is that not all of them, but a lot of the traveller boxers go on now because they live a better life physically and nutritionally, which they never did in the past, and that stopped them doing it because they went into work and they had families young.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I just add one other thing? Is really as well with the travelling community. It was obviously being from Kilburn, which is northwest London, and a big, huge Irish community as well as a travelling community. It was the fusion as well of growing up as I'm 60 now, but growing up as a kid. And the Catholic Church really did have boxing at the boxing club in Quecks Road, which was a huge church in Kilburn, and there was boxing there, and it wasn't done by the priest. That's slightly missed. There was always someone that come in and to take it, but they did fusion. There was a fusion between the travelling community and the Catholic Church, and I just really would just really like, because they get such a bad press all the time.
No, I agree. Your points are very well made. No, they're very. Let me ask you very quickly. Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, Fabio Wardley or Daniel Dubois?
All day long. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers very much. Thanks. Great to speak to you. Thank you very much, Neil. Well, let's take another call from Gabby, the Arsenal fan. Gabby, good evening. How are you? What would you like to tell us?
Oh, I mean, listen, gents, it's lovely. Talking to you for the first time on boxing, my first ever call. What a call to talk about. I mean, what gets the juices flowing? You two, in your boxing lives, be it commentating and Spencer performing, the juices flow for Fabio and for Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay, the juices flow, don't they, guys?
Yeah.
Any person that says they won't watch Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are out and out liars. If you love boxing, you are going to be watching any top fight of a decent standard, and that's still going to be a decent standard. Admittedly, it's 10 years after the fact when you think that AJ, was it 2017, had that electric fight with Klitschko, and then for me, he never kicked on from there. He had some good fights, Spence, and he's a great fighter, but that was the fight that really, for me, could have gone and had a legacy like Lennox Lewis. And when he lost to Ruiz, it just kind of threw it for me. So I'm glad this fight's happening now. But I just want Moses the Timer now, mate. I want these big fights for Moses. For me, he reminds me of what I watched in the 90s, guys, with Mike Tyson. He's the most freshest thing. But the problem is he's going to run out of opponents within about 3-4 fights.
If you put him in the ring right now, Gabby, with if you put Moses Tower in the ring with Andy Ruiz right now, what would he do to Andy Ruiz?
Oh, it absolutely destroy him. I think I'm scared for any person coming up against Moses now, if I'm honest with you. I think he just goes from strength to strength. And I actually heard that Ruiz was a bit upset that Tyson was supposed to fight him as his comeback fight. I don't know how gospel that was and whether Ruiz was just blowing smoke in the situation.
Do you think he gets rid of Ruiz inside the distance?
Who, Moses?
Yeah.
Oh, all day long.
How many rounds? How many rounds would you say?
Joe, that's the killer question, G. That's the.
Because I've had a big row with Spencer on air that it would be within 3 to 5 rounds.
Listen, I was going to say under 6 all day long. Come on, G, you know your stuff. Listen, we're talking to a middleweight champion here in Spence.
Listen, we are talking about the next and possibly an all-time great in Moses Atama for sure. You know, this kid is going to be something electrifying for the next decade.
There'll be a hiccup. There'll be a guy that unseats him. There'll be a guy that he has to revenge. There'll be someone.
There'll be a guy that takes in the distance.
Whether it's a cab,
whether it's an Andy Ruiz or someone like that. You know, I'm just saying.
Your points are very well made. I'm assuming you're saying that Fury is the A side against AJ then.
Listen, Tyson's had he's got the bigger resume, hasn't he, gents? He's got the resume. He's had the fight. I mean, the thing is, how would we look at it in terms, and be it sport in general, where we're at now, the monetary value on everything that talkSPORT are involved with, that they talk about, is huge. Be it football, be it racing, be it everything's just the magnitude, isn't it? The magnitude of every sport is just tenfold. And let's be honest, if it was still the money that was floating about 10 years ago when the fight should have happened, might not be happening now, gents. But when you got and I don't like Jake Paul, but what he has done is he's made it with Netflix and everything like that now there is life-changing money on the table, and it's been like that for 10 years, and it's scary, really, when you look at what Conor Benn's walking about with now, money-wise. And he hasn't really had a huge career, gents.
The thing is, Gabby, you've got stardom and you've got purism in boxing, and I think what we're seeing right now is what Jake Paul's brought to it is a different thing. What he's done for the women's boxing, what Turkey Al Sheikh and the Saudi Arabians have done in terms of investing almost $1 billion into the sport. Everyone is enjoying it, and the money is superannuated at the moment. It is inflated, but I do think it's a very powerful moment in the sport. It's no longer a minority sport anymore. It's one of the world's big sports, and we know that with the big streamers. Let me just finally ask you before we go to break, because we've got a lot more callers. For you, is there anyone you mentioned Moses Tama, is there anyone in the heavyweight division right now he would not beat if you put him in with them?
I just think he the worrying thing for me, I just think he needs 12 rounds, but who's going to give him 12 rounds, Jay?
What I'm asking is, does he beat Usyk? Does he beat Fury? Does he beat Kabayel? Does he beat Dubois? Does he beat all of these guys or not?
I think, apart from Usyk, I think he clears up. He really does.
So he beats Fury as well?
Oh, yeah, I think Fury won't want to take the fight. I don't think it will happen. I think Fury will respect him too much, and he'll be like, that's someone I don't want to take too many bangs to the head from, because I'll take too many from him. And his dad, John's very adamant he should be going back in that ring. Now, you get in the ring with Moses the Timer. I don't want to say it out loud, touch wood, whatever, but, you just wouldn't. Would you guys? Would you want to put anybody up at Fury's age? Would you put any of these aging boxers up against Moses and for 12 rounds with this guy?
Well, I don't think I would, actually, but thank you very much for your call, Gabby. That was a broad look ahead to Wardley versus Dubois with DAZN. And don't forget, you can watch it live next Saturday, only on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois. Don't blink. Next Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
So, we'll talk Watford in a moment, because you two have got a common interest in that. But let's talk Manchester United manager for a moment. Do you think Michael Carrick is a shoo-in now? Should he be a shoo-in?
Probably, yeah, probably. I think his job was to come in, settle it all down, get them playing with a bit more confidence, a bit more freedom, and I think that's exactly what he's done. And I think if you try and look at some of the alternatives, I just would struggle to see who could get a better tune out of Manchester United. They've got a good team, Man United. They've got good players. It's just about getting them out there and not worrying about the weight of playing for Manchester United, and that's what Carras has done. So I just think it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you do it now?
I mean, their expectations at the start of the season, Sean. The maximum expectation or hope would have been Champions League. So he's achieved that. What more could he have done?
Yeah, no, I agree. And what Ben was saying there, I mean, you get put in the role. I mean, I got a bit of stick. I did with Keno their podcast, and I said about Amaron, I said, if you simplified, did a 4-4-2, I'm sure win more games. And Carrick's gone in there and he has simplified it. He's got the round pegs in round holes. They've signed some really good players before he took over. But he's gone in, it seems to me, from the outside, he's gone in, simplified it, brought a bit more of a structure to it, a simple structure. And it seems to me, Jeff, this is from the outside, by the way, I must make that clear, but it seems to me, give them a framework to work from. They've got very good players anyway, and it seems to be a bit more freedom in what they're trying to do.
WBO Global Welterweight Champion, Echo the Engine Inoue.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis. That was the lead-in to the engine himself, Eko Esserman, who joins us now. I'm not sure where he is, but we shall see in a moment when he joins us in Vision. Good evening, sir. How are you?
You're right. I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Good. Oh, I see you're... Where are you? You're sitting in front of a radiator, basically.
Well, the radiator's behind me. I was actually watching the Eggington and Conor Walker fight.
Oh, what is happening? Can you give us an update without commentary?
Oh, I can't tell you without giving you a spoiler.
Who did you have? All right, who did you have going into that fight as the potential winner then?
In all honesty, I thought the favour was in Eggington's. On Eggington's side, being the bigger man, but I knew Conor Walker would be a lot fresher than him.
So give us a report on what round are they in and what's happening.
You're going to have to tune in to watch and see what happens.
Is the right answer. Is the right answer. Well, we're with you next week. Obviously, you are fighting Jack Rafferty at the Co-op Live Arena. We're there with talkSPORT, and obviously it's headlined by Fabio Wardley defending the WBO title against Daniel Dubois. Tell us about your preparation and how much you're looking forward to this. What is, I think Frank Warren was saying in the week, is a sold-out event.
Yeah, looking forward to this. I've had a great camp. Camp's been camping in all the right ways. I've been through my diamond season. I've cut the diamond. I've polished it. I've found out the carat. I've found out the color. I'm just ready to just be the diamond now.
Eko, you jump straight back on the saddle, mate. I mean, the last fight was a heroic effort. You come up short that in that fight against Jack Casserole, but it proved a tough night for you. But you go straight back in there, mate, and you're looking to get straight back in the mix into these big fights. I've got to respect you for that.
Whoa, why would I want anything else?
Yeah, but listen, some fighters, they want tune-up fights. They want, they want to get back into winning ways. Talk to us a little bit about this, actually, because different fighters have different mentalities, the psychological side of the sport, which is a difficult part for some fighters to overcome. But some fighters, they like to go straight back in the deep end. They like to challenge themselves, test themselves, and you seem to be that guy.
Oh, I wasn't swimming in deep waters. I was swimming exactly where I was supposed to be swimming. Yeah, it wasn't my night. So what? There's other fish in the sea that I will capture, and if I meet that fish again, I'll get him.
Obviously, we remember your brilliant performance against Josh Taylor as something that propelled you and projected you. Does a victory here against the undefeated Rafferty take you back into world title contention again?
Well, I would hope so, yeah. I'm just going to get back into that mix. I learned my lesson in that last match, and I don't learn the same lesson twice, so bring it on, really.
What's the lesson, then? What's the L from it?
At the highest level, there's high-level tricks, there's high-level things you'll get away with, and there's always a high-level response. I might not have had the high-level response, especially when I needed to do it in that 11th round, but I've learned from it.
Come on, tell us about the tricks then. To reveal all, please.
Reveal all. High-level trick. He hit me after the ref said break twice.
Yeah.
He gave me a nice little three-piece. I hit the canvas. I got back up, and I was just raring to go. I just wanted to get straight back to it, but maybe I should have just played up a bit. Been a bit like a football player, he really kicked off, made a real thing of it. And I think I would have got a lot more time to recover, which I should have been given. And I think it would have ended differently.
Are these wise words, Spencer, from Eko right now?
Yeah, listen, I think that what you asked him there is, what does he learn from this? And you go, it's when you're in the moment, Eko, it's difficult to, like you say, we're gladiators, so it's instinctive, isn't it? So you know what I mean? You're not going to play up and try and nick a bit of time like a footballer might do when he gets caught with a half a tackle and pretends he's really injured and stops the game for a little while or whatever. It's a different sport, man. Because we're in that, you're in that zone. You don't. there's no playing around, is
The
there?
first time, but not the second time around.
Yeah, absolutely, because you learn from it. Like, listen, you can't buy experience in the sport of boxing. And I think even at this stage of your career, Echo, and I think you find yourself actually in the crossroads here in this sort of fight, don't you? Because you've been in there, you beat undisputed world champions like Josh Taylor. You know, you boxed Jack Catterall in a fight that was going to lead you on to a world title if you come through that one. Now you find yourself in a crossroads because Jack Rafferty is a guy that's at that level below, but it's a fight that propels you back up there, isn't it?
It's the same as with Owen Cooper. He was a fight at that level below that was up and coming, full of energy, full of brim. And we all know what ended up happening to him. Same with Ben Vaughan. And then I stepped up again. So it's the right time for me to just come back and show people what I've learned.
I just said to you there, you know, I feel that, like, at this stage of your career, it is a crossroads fight where you go, like, to keep you in that level, at that elite caliber, you go, it's a sort of must-win fight against Jack Rafferty. Otherwise, it's not a career-ending fight. But what I'm saying is, it's a tougher road back for you. So it is a fight with importance, isn't it? This one, because of the level that you're boxing at. You've got to go out there really and make a statement.
To me, every fight's a tough fight. Every fight's a crossroad fight because every fight's a must-win fight. So to me, it's just another fight. It's another young, up-and-coming, stubborn opponent that I'm going to get rid of. Like, it's literally as simple as that. Everyone else's opinion on it, that's fair enough. But to me, I'm only fighting to prove anything or anything and everything to myself. So I'm not fussed.
I'm delighted we're going to be with you next week, Echo, and you are chief support, of course, against Jack Rafferty. I'm going to give you a little update now. Conor Walker stopped Sam Eggington in the 10th round while we were having that discussion. We wish you well. We look forward to seeing you, myself and Spencer, next week up in Manchester. Thank you very much for your time on this Saturday night.
Thank you for your time. And yeah, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to wreck it. I wanted you to announce it. So
okay,
thank you.
No, you have great poise and presence, sir. Thank you very much. See you next week. We're going to take your calls. We're celebrating 28 years to the day, 1993.
1998.
Sorry, 1998. 5 years earlier, that was. You were going strong at that time.
Yeah.
That Spencer Oliver obviously suffered a near catastrophic brain injury against Sergei Davakov at the Royal Albert Hall. I remember being there and covering it, and I'm delighted that we are friends and colleagues and we are together today, so we celebrate that tonight. We're also taking your calls in the next 15 minutes on Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, on Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. We want to take all your calls after this. You're listening to Fight Night Live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Hey, Jay Trace, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Love it to see you. You look great today. If you don't mind
you
me
as
saying.
well, you know.
That's very kind of you.
We've got the same stylist.
Have you?
Yeah, we do.
Have
Yeah.
you?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
We're part of an agency, which is something, you know.
Yeah, we were very close to wearing the same.
Were you?
Yeah.
I was going to wear that. No, I was going to wear that. And instead of my hair like this, I was going to do my hair like that.
I was going to do my hair like that as well.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Good. Are you good? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm chilling, man. I'm very well.
Is that your own little brand then?
I wish it was my brand.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Adidas.
Why is it double Adidas?
Oh, it's a secret, special Adidas.
Can I get them? Can normal people
Yeah,
get
of course, normal people. Hear this guy, man.
No, I didn't mean me. I mean other people listening.
Oh, sorry. Cheeky.
What have you been up to? Last time we saw you was about 2 weeks
chilling.
ago.
Today, I went by the Adidas office, got some bits, got some clobber, so I can look good for you lot.
Can we do that?
Of course you can.
How do we do that?
Of course you can. I'll put you in touch with a guy. I know a guy.
That's nice.
And then, came to see you guys, and I got a song dropping after this, so a busy day.
Oh,
Busy day.
after this?
Yeah.
Literally, after this is aired, the song will come out an hour after this.
Why is it not being aired on this show?
Why can't we play it?
Yeah.
Boys, listen, we can text each other unreleased songs and we'll deal with that. You know what I'm saying? You get the first preview. Yeah, but next time, definitely next time.
No. You listen. We want it on our show. Has one network got it, the first play of it?
No, they don't. I don't know who has it actually, to be honest.
Have you got it on your phone?
I do have it on my phone.
Can we play it?
It might be some profanity in there, so I don't want to get you in trouble.
Joe's fine.
Right, you like the name of the song though? The song's called Charisma.
Oh, I like that.
Has you read about me?
In Charisma the footballer.
Oh,
that's the one.
We meant charisma.
No, because then it would be charisma.
You know the Travella, you know the...
Yeah.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis. Spencer the Omen Oliver is in the studio with me. You playing with your phone still or not?
No, I'm just writing down a little bit of information.
Okay, good. We're going to be joined in the next section by Nathan Darby, super welterweight, who is on the Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois card. Weirdly, I ran into Nathan at an airport in the Far East 2 days ago with his beautiful young wife and baby, 4-month-old baby. He's going to join us. He's had 44 fights in the last 2 years since he turned pro. We're going to have a journeyman chat, which we don't often do in this show, and I'm delighted that he's going to come on and join us.
Yeah, that's what I was just going through on my phone there, because I thought, have I got this right here? 44 fights
in 2 years.
2024. Like, that's unheard of.
We'll get the whole story from Nathan in a bit as well. I've got to ask him about this. I think he landed from Thailand one day because his wife is Thai and fought on the same day, which is absolutely extraordinary. But let's go to some of our calls. A lot of calls tonight. We've got Ricky, the boxing fan. Ricky, we're talking about heavyweights tonight. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois, Fabio Wardley. What's your take on Fury and Joshua being announced? Is it too late? Who's the A side? Who wins it for you? And what are your feelings about Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois?
Firstly, in regards to AJ and Fury, I'm an old school boxing fan. I started following boxing from the 80s. You know, the Hagler, the Hearns, etc., etc. So my take is, first and foremost, it's way too late, and it does frustrate me with the state of boxing as it is. People marinate in fights and they're way past the best. As a boxing fan, and I understand it's prize fighting and these guys need to be paid well, and they do. But why wait so long? Like one of the callers said earlier, I'm intrigued by the fight. Excited? Not really. It's way past its sell-by date.
It's a curiosity now, isn't it? It's more of a curiosity, perhaps, for many people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think you're right. You are intrigued by the fight, but I think it's a fight that it's a must-have fight for this generation of boxing, though, isn't it? That's what the intrigue is, and you can't deny that it's going to be exciting.
It is, but I mean, maybe because I'm slightly biased. I think in terms of who wins, it's 50-50. I think AJ's still got his explosion.
His explosiveness in his punching, I agree.
His explosiveness. Fury has his ring smarts. He knows how to navigate a fight. His legs are still, as he showed in his last fight. So it really is 50-50. I can't pick a winner at this moment in time.
Who's the A side then? Because Spencer and I are kind of rowing over this a little bit. He thinks they're both the A side. I think it's Fury, clearly.
A-side to me is, and this is, again, my bone of contention, they're both A-sides. It shouldn't be, I think, who walks in, who is announced first, they do it alphabetically. I don't think they've earned the right, or they have in terms of boxing, but in terms of how long we have to wait for it, just get it over the line. And if it's a split, or who's the A-side, is going to stall negotiations or maybe not get it over the line, then they should both, as boxers themselves and also boxing fans, they should say, Fury is this is a fight that, the British public want.
But Ricky, let me interrupt you for a minute. So you're saying that the fight should have happened sooner. I agree with you completely. We should have seen AJ and Wilder 6-7 years ago as well. I think it's a fight we've missed out on, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. I hope it still happens in some ways, but we may not see it. Therefore, are you not happy with the Saudi Arabian Turkey Al Sheikh investment in boxing that has made these fights possible, that did let us see the undisputed title between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk twice in 2024?
I love Turk's input. I see Turk as a big boxing fan that's got money. And so he's got the finances to back these fights that, any true boxing fan wants to see. And to me, it's not about, I think, in the modern era of boxing, it's about navigating. It's about, you've got boxers who are getting, big bills, and they're not even, champions or anywhere near being champions. But because of, their social media profile, their followers, they're getting big fights.
You're talking about Conor Benn here, yeah?
But I think
not necessarily Conor Benn, because I'm from the era where I loved his dad to bits. He took anybody and fought, and I think. But what I'm saying is because of who his father was. Maybe you're getting fights and the interest that the boxing ability. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, and I think is a sensational fighter, but we haven't seen the best of him yet. We don't know his full potential, and I just feel that there's other fighters out there that are more deserving.
Yeah, I totally understand. I totally understand that. And to go back on what you were saying about Turkey Al Sheikh, and I think that what he has done he's changed the history of the sport, because he's given us the fights that maybe we would never have got. And this is a prime example of this one with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, because I believe without their input as well, I don't think we would have got this fight over the line, because it's all about the finances that were put on the table. And yeah, it is maybe past its sell-by date, as in the buys at their primes, but we still get it, and that is important because that is history.
Ricky, in your view, is it the fault of the promoters that we haven't seen Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua already, or Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua?
I think it's the fault of everyone, because not having a real. I'm a fan of the game, but I haven't got no true insight into what goes on behind closed doors. So first and foremost, I think everyone's culpable. You got promoters. You've got sanctioning,
sanctioning bodies, the TV companies, yeah.
TV companies, exactly. And when there's enough demand and they want to make their fights, Pacquiao, Mayweather, it shows that different bodies and different TV companies can work together.
They did. Well, when Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis fought each other, Showtime and HBO came together. It was the same with Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, but only because when Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fought, it grossed $600 million, because they all know there's money in it. It was 5 years too late. Yeah. I remember the frustrations, the dozens of stories I wrote when it was getting close, the broadcasts we did on when we thought it was getting close and it never did. And it took them meeting at a basketball game in the end to make the fight get over the line.
And we have seen it in the past as well, when Mike Tyson boxed Lennox Lewis, and we had one on HBO and one on Showtime. And we had Jimmy Lennon Jr. introducing, and we also, who else? We had Mike Buffer in the ring as well. That was history in the making.
It was.
Look, politics have always got in the way of the sport, but I think now with DAZN's involvement, all under one umbrella, and all the promoters working together, down to Turkey Al Sheikh and Riyadh Season being a big part of that, we are now, as boxing fans, being spoilt with the fights that we, maybe have never got.
Ricky, thank you for your call. I'm going to go to Richard because we're running out of time. Richard, good evening. Thank you for your call tonight. What do you want to tell us about the heavyweights right now?
Good evening, gents. I just want to say, I wish people would stop complaining because, okay.
Well said, mate. Well said.
We all understand this fight's past its prime, but at the end of the day, we need to just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
The added bonus is it's going to be on Netflix, so fans are not going to be getting charged 25 quid to have to watch it. It is what it is. It didn't happen when it should have happened, but we're getting it now, so let's just enjoy it for what it is.
How many people will watch it in your view on Netflix? I'm guesstimating over 50 million.
I think it will be in that range myself, and I think the people that are turning around saying, "No, I'm not going to watch it." Come on, let's be real. Everyone's going to tune in to watch it. I've always had Fury to win this fight, but I think they're both on a similar decline, and I think Joshua has a different motivation after losing his pals now. So I personally think Joshua might edge this fight because I just think he's got a different motivation after he lost his pals, and I think he'll want to win it for them. So potentially I'm edging AJ to win this fight.
Yeah, it's a very valid point, and I think that you're right with it being on Netflix. I think the audience is going to be huge. I think it's going to be 50 million plus. Actually, I think there is an intrigue in this one globally because of Tyson Fury's presence in the States. People know who he is. You know, Anthony Joshua boxing Jake Paul, that made a massive impact for Anthony Joshua over in the States as well. So I think we go 50 million plus.
Yeah, and I think next week Fabio and Dubois is going to be a serious live one.
Who you got?
I think I think it's one of the most unpredictable fights I can remember in recent history. But to be fair, I think once we see how Wardley reacts to getting tagged by Dubois, if he can eat those punches like he's done in previous fights, then it might be a different scenario. But I don't know if he's going to be able to manage Dubois' power. And because he's not that defensively sound, we could be in for an early night with that one. But I've really not got a pick out of the two. I think anything can happen with that fight.
You said a huge word there, if, and that is a massive word in boxing. If he can take the punch, if he can, to survive those early rounds. And that's the fascination about this fight with these two. A real 50-50 where we're all going to have an opinion, but really none of us know.
Absolutely right. Well, thank you very much for your call tonight, Richard. We really appreciate all of your calls. Have a great night, all of you, and please keep listening for the last hour of the show. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. We'll be back with Nathan Darby next.
Sam and Jordan singing your praises. That's
Yeah,
nice. He
very
doesn't
nice.
do that with many people, mate. He really doesn't.
I always have a little spar. Have a little sparring match.
Look, I mean, Burnley have got to have a great chance of bouncing straight back next season again. And at the moment, the bookies have got Stephen Gerrard and Craig Bellamy both in the frame. What are your thoughts?
Well, Craig Bellamy obviously worked under Vincent Company there, so he'll know the people involved and, the ownership and the likes and the feel of the club. Stevie G, I mean, look, does he want to go back in at that level? Does he want to? I mean, it's only an hour and a quarter from where he's from. I mean, if you're going to do it like Frank has at Coventry, go into a good concern, and that is a good concern. There's no, I mean, I question the idea of doing the same model and it not working, but that doesn't mean that in the Championship they've got it wrong. Because let's face it, they've gone straight back up again. So I do think there'll be money available. I do think they'll retain some good players there. Certainly, with all due respect, Championship players who know the Championship, who can do the job in the Championship. And they might bounce back stronger. So I get why that would be an attractive proposition for Stevie G. I know he's a world famous player and stuff, but he's up and down with the management thing. Been over in Qatar, obviously. A lot made of that. Comes back. is he ready to go again? And a good platform for him, I feel. I'm bound to say that. I'm biased towards Burnley, of course, from my time there. But I do think it's a good club, a really, really good fan base. I don't think the fans are carried away with it. Well, they certainly weren't. They were very, very honest with the situation.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis. Spencer Oliver is alongside me tonight. Joined now by Nathan Darby, the super welterweight, who is fighting on the Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois undercard, the WBO heavyweight title. Nathan, a very good evening to you. The last time I saw you, we were both leaving Bangkok airport. You were with your beautiful wife and your 4-month-old daughter. Hopefully the journey home was a good one.
Yeah, besides all the screaming. Well, yeah.
Who was that, Gareth?
Now.
There we were in Sukhumvit Airport. Just bumped into each other by chance. You just grabbed me and said, "Aren't you Gareth, the boxing journalist?" And I said, "Yes." And you said, "I'm fighting on the undercard." Tell us about what you were doing in Thailand and about your big event on May the 16th or May the 9th. Sorry.
Yeah, so because my wife's from Thailand, we've gone over to introduce the little one to her family, and obviously I've got a big fight coming up on DAZN, my first one on DAZN, so I had to get some training in while I was there, and that was it really. With me being a journeyman, it's hard to plan holidays because you can fight any time. So I booked this holiday last year, and then a couple of weeks before I go, I find out I'm fighting on DAZN, so I couldn't really cancel it.
Nathan, talk to us about that journey, mate, because it is quite an incredible one. You know, the journeyman, which you just mentioned there, that you guys are you're the backbone of the sport, if you like. The sport doesn't survive without you guys. But what is it, 44 fights since you turned professional in the beginning of 2024?
2 years ago, unbelievable.
That's insane, mate.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. You must be earning more money than the champions.
I don't know about that, but yeah, just over 2 years. It'll be my 44th fight coming up. I love it. I fight every week. I love traveling up and around the country, meeting fantastic people as well. I've never met a bad guy in boxing yet. That's including you, Gareth.
Thank you.
Just tell us where that all started, mate. Where it all begun. How did you get into boxing? How did you get into professional boxing? Was you an amateur boxer?
Yeah, so I had 23 amateur fights at the Inoue gym. And that's where I met my coach, Junior Witter. He sort of took me under his wing at the Inoue gym.
The former WBC world champion, I hasten to add.
Exactly, yeah, the former WBC champ. So yeah, got good friends with Junior, and then he set his own gym up. Followed him through to his gym, and yeah, from there I had a couple more amateur fights, and then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to be a coach. And I got into the coaching side of things, which I still do and I still enjoy. But I saw a few of the lads winning and boxing, and I was like, it never leaves you, does it? So as this opportunity came up with being a journeyman, and I was like, you know what, why not? Why not? Let's see what it's about. So turned pro. It was a lot harder than I thought. And then after my first 10 fights, I was like, you know what, I'm getting used to this now. I know what I'm doing. I can handle myself well in the ring. And then from there, after 10 fights, I just started enjoying myself. And yeah, I've never looked back.
So 44 fights in 2 years. Bobby Flood, you're facing the Co-op Live Arena. You're coming in off the back of a victory, though, against Tommy Murphy. So is that an unusual feeling?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at my record, you can see it's unusual for me to get the win. But if you watch a lot of the fights that I've had, which I know you have seen quite a few, Spencer, you're always on comms bigging me up.
Yeah, listen, mate, I've got to say, Tommy Murphy, by the way, for people that are listening to this one, was a 6-0 a 6-0 winning record, by the way. Prospect, who you beat there. So that was a good victory. That, and he had an extensive amateur background, that kid, as well.
Yeah, yeah. When I'm feeling on it and everything's clicking in the ring, I go for it, and that's what I'm going to do again on Saturday.
Your last 7 or 8 opponents have all had undefeated records, or they've been making their debuts. You're already scheduled, by the way, for a fight on the 23rd of May, for the 30th of May, and for the 6th of June as well. So I asked your wife when I met her, I cannot recall her name, but I was asking her, how does she put up with it? And either you told me or she told me that you flew back from Bangkok one time and you actually boxed the day you got back.
Yeah, this was last year. So, landed at Heathrow. Then Junior picked me up and we went straight to York Hall, weighed in, and then boxed a couple hours later. That's the story to tell.
So you've only been stopped once in your 37 defeats as well. 3 wins. Got your record here. 3 wins, 37 defeats, 3 draws. You're very durable. You're a super welterweight. You're very durable as well. What people don't realise with professional journeymen like yourself is you're often very skilled fighters who are very comfortable in the office.
Yeah, you judge a journeyman's ability on how many times they've been stopped. So you look at people like Jordan Grannon and Dale Arrowsmith, and they've been stopped a handful of times in over 100 fights. So Jordan Grannon's now on over 200. So you know there's ability there. And you know if they took a different path in boxing, they would have been successful based on that.
When you look at what you do, obviously you don't take part necessarily with the thought of being a world champion, but do you have moments when you think, do you know what, I'm actually going to change it up here because I do want to be a world champion, because I do want to earn belts, because I do want to get there eventually, that I'm actually getting a taste for legacy here as well as just legacy as a journeyman?
To be completely honest with you, it might sound a bit weird, but I love what I'm doing without getting the glory of winning. I don't care about getting the glory of winning. I just enjoy being in the ring, fighting, testing the prospects, seeing what they've got. And like I say, it might sound a bit strange because normally you hear boxers talking about, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I wouldn't change it. I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, do you know what, Nathan? I've covered a couple of your fights, as you know, so I know the talents that you've got, and you are a great survivor, mate. But I want to talk to you. I want to go back to what you said, something there for people that will be listening to this that won't quite understand this. You chose to be a journeyman. What does that entail? How did that conversation first come around? What was that conversation to say you're effectively choosing to be the guy that tests the guy that's going to be coming through? I mean, talk us through that process, because that's a fascinating one.
Yeah, well, Junior was having a conversation with me about one of his boxers who was going to take that road, who was going to go down that path. And then he ended up backing out like a week before his debut. And it's telling me how frustrating it was. So I thought, you know what, Junior, can I do that? Is that an option for me? And he was like, yeah, but I didn't think you'd want to. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. So that's how it came about. And then I applied for my license and everything. And I had my first fight, like I said.
But so people understand this that are listening, because like you say, I chose to be a journeyman. So like, people might be listening to this saying, what, so you go in there to intentionally lose, but you don't go in there to intentionally lose, do you? Or do you? No. I mean, what is the process there? That's what I want you to explain a little bit more.
Right. So you've got 2 paths. You've got the ticket selling route, or you've got the away fighter route. And when you take the away fighter route, because if anyone's ever tried to sell tickets, they'll tell you how hard it is. So you take the away fighter route if you're not very good at selling tickets, and everything's against you then. So yeah, you might have won the last 10 fights, but officially you've lost them because, like I say, everything's against you. You might nick a draw or 38-37 loss. No one wants to give you the win, so your record, you're always fighting against it.
But it's not a true reflection of what you really are as a fighter, because like I say, look, you've got 3 wins, 37 losses, 3 draws, but you go like, you could have had 10, 15 of those that could have gone your way if you was the home fighter.
Yeah, you're looking at sort of more of a 50-50 record, but well, like I said, I really don't mind. I understand the game. I understand how it works. It's a business, and I'm fine with it. But once you're accepted, you move on and you start to enjoy it.
So in the junior middleweight or super welterweight world's champions at the moment, Xander Zayas, Sebastian Fundora, and Josh Kelly. When you sit there in half dream, half sleep, do you ever think, do you know what? I probably could go in there and survive 12 rounds against them, or maybe nick a few rounds off them. Are you, for our listeners and viewers, good enough to do that?
Well, the problem we've got as journeymen is we normally work full-time jobs. So think if I had sponsorship where I could quit my job and be a full-time boxer, then yeah, I'd put my skills up against anybody. And where I could get through the full 12 rounds, as long as I was fit enough. But like I say, you need support to be able to put the training to be fit enough for the 12 rounds.
So what is your full-time job then?
No, I work at Next Warehouse.
Okay.
I'm moving pallets around.
Okay. Well, listen, I am delighted that I ran into you at the airport and your beautiful young family. Congratulations on fatherhood and having a beautiful daughter. We look forward to Spencer and I to seeing you next week in Manchester, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you on the broadcast.
Yeah, I'll definitely see you next week. And just before I go, Junior Witter has his autobiography out, and it's brilliant. The Avoided. Check it out.
He really was. He was a great character. Thank you very much indeed, Nathan Darby. We'll see you next week.
Great to speak to you both. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Cheers, mate.
You're listening to Fight Night live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+. GambleAware.org.
Frank, I want to move on to a player that you give his debut for Chelsea, Reece James. How important is he for Chelsea and also for the World Cup in the summer?
Yeah, Reece, what an incredible player, an incredible lad. I've been really pleased with how he's taken to the captaincy there as well, because I think from afar, I feel like I've seen him grow into that position, because he was always quite a quiet lad, Reece. Kept his thoughts to himself, but when you did speak to him, he was very articulate. But the quality level, Gabby, I mean, when I first went to Chelsea, I had a good understanding of the academy because of the lads that were working with me. But to see his talent level, I mean, I've never seen someone who gets a 70-yard crossfielder and just brings it down in his chest and then can do whatever he wants to the ball. It's a really incredible technique. But his whole game that he's got now, pace and power and the quality levels. So, yeah, massively important for Chelsea. You see that when he's not playing. He's managed to play more regularly this season, which has been great, but obviously out recently. And yeah, without picking Thomas's squad for him or his team, I think Reece James is one of the best right backs in the world, without a doubt. And yeah, want to see him fit and playing again because he's a special player.
So how do you rate our chances at the World Cup, Frank?
Well, I think we've got a good chance, but there's a lot of other good teams in it. This is the age-old question I get about why we didn't win World Cups as a group from my generation. And part of the answer is because France, Spain, Germany were all really, really good too. And, you know, so there are other teams that will be there competing, going over to America with the conditions that they'll be. But I think we've got lots of good talent in our squad as well. So I think absolutely we have a really good chance of doing it. It will be about momentum. It will be about the best players being fit and ready at the right time.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967 when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93 when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davis. Spencer the Omen Oliver is still here and he's been very, very well behaved tonight. Is my reports from the evening. I haven't given him much stick and he hasn't given me much back. There's still time. There's an hour for us to get into it still, Spencer. We are celebrating, of course, and maybe it's not the right night to do it, but we are celebrating 28 years that my great friend has been living since a catastrophic brain injury against Sergei Devikov at the incredible Royal Albert Hall back on May the 2nd, 1998. Sir, it's great you're still with us.
Sir, it's great to be still here and live to tell the tales. But yeah, it's fantastic. And that's why I'm in such a happy mood. You know, like I said to you, Gareth, this was a moment in my life for 15 years that every day on May the 2nd, I sat in a dark room and cried and just thought the world was against me and why me, why not, you know, why did it have to happen to me? And then I actually recognised it was actually a day of celebration because I'd come through that. I'd rebuilt my life. It was character building and it's put me to where I am today. So, you know, I'm in a good place.
It made a beautiful monster of you, basically. Yeah, and we're going to celebrate the end of the show with that. In the last few minutes of the show, we're going to go delve into... I've done it before with Spencer on a particular show. It's worth watching. It's there on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, in which we look at Spencer's life in boxing. It was a very emotional day for both of us, that talking about it, particularly for you. But we'll delve into that in the last few minutes of the show tonight. Over in Japan at the Tokyo Dome, crowded by masses of Japanese fans who are very noisy these days. I go back to the days when you went to big fights in Japan and you could hear mobile phones going off between the rounds because it was so quiet. The ripple of applause like you were at Lord's Cricket Ground, like a library almost in there it was at times. But the Big Bang made plenty of noise, but it was Naoya the Monster Inoue who prevailed at the Tokyo Dome to retain his undisputed and ring junior featherweight titles via 12-round unanimous decision over Junto Nakatani. The equivalent in Japanese terms of Fury versus Joshua, but in their prime, I hasten to add. The official scores at the Tokyo Dome, Spence, were 116, 112, 116, 112, 115, 113. I've watched it back. I had it a little wider for Inoue. I thought that he would be dominant, but he took over in the latter part of the fight. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, it was. I think Inoue started the fight very well. He was being very patient. He took the centre of the ring. Nakatani was boxing on the outside. But he was being a little bit too negative, showing a little bit too much respect. I mean, we're talking about a freeweight world champion here against a pound-for-pound star 4-weight. They're both pound-for-pound stars, actually. One of them...
Yeah, well, I think you were looking at 1 or 2 versus 8 in the Ring magazine.
Yeah, I think 6 in the Ring magazine. Yeah.
6, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so, Nakatani just took too much time to get off for 6 rounds. The fight was a little bit cat and mouse.
And then he came into it a little bit.
A little bit cat and mouse, and then 7th round, Nakatani started believing in himself, started taking a few more chances, started getting success. Around 8 and round 9, he started looking like he was turning the screw. He was turning it into his favour, and you thought, hello. And then they had a clash of heads. Nakatani picked up a bad cut in the eye, and that effectively swung things. I think that
Inoue straight away, the monster, has targeted that eye, didn't he?
Yeah, but he picked it up and showed that why he's a pound-for-pound star. He took it to another level. It was a great fight. It really was a great fight. I think the right guy come out victorious and stamped his authority as possibly pound-for-pound number 1.
Well, that's my next question, really. I don't see a need for a rematch. I picked Inoue to win this comfortably on points. I had it 116, 8 rounds to 4, even 9 rounds to 3. You could have scored it. There was a swing round.
I had it 116, 112.
Yeah, 8 rounds to 4. Yeah. That argument now about Inoue going ahead of Alexander Usyk has veracity for me. Right now, because Alexander Usyk is slated to face Rico Verhoeven, who's obviously a kickboxing great. I just feel that Inoue sneaks into the number 1 spot. We'll be doing the Ring magazine rankings panel tomorrow, and I'll be pushing for Inoue at number 1.
After beating the pound-for-pound number 6 in Nakatani, a guy, a fellow countryman who many people thought was better than Inoue. And the manner that but what I'm saying is the manner that he'd done that, the caliber of opponent it was, a young 28-year-old fighter with, had won 3 world titles at different weights himself. We're talking about a 2-weight undisputed world champion, Terence Crawford, the only other guy to do that one in Inoue, a 4-weight world champion, stamped his authority in this super featherweight division, will move up to featherweight. For me right now, Inoue is pound-for-pound number 1.
And Bam Rodriguez is in the top 5 as well. Bam Rodriguez, for me, probably the global super fight right now, potentially, is Bam Rodriguez taking on Inoue at Super Bantam. Obviously, Bam Rodriguez has got to come up. The looks of a choir boy, takes his glasses off, his spectacles off, and steps into the ring. That's the only guy, if his power does transfer up a weight or 2, he's the only guy who I can see giving Inoue problems at the moment. Discuss Spencer Oliver.
Elite fighter, but just too small for me. I think Bam Rodriguez is a sensational.
But do you want to see it?
It's gone through the way. Of course, I want to see it. We're talking about, like you say, pound-for-pound stars. Bam Rodriguez is sensational. People may remember Bam Rodriguez from beating Sonny Edwards. That's why you might be thinking, where have I heard that name before? He beat Sonny Edwards and beat him in style, Bam Rodriguez. But yeah, great young fighter, but just a little bit too small for me. I think Inoue is the type of guy that's going to go up to featherweight and be dominant in the featherweight division as well. Size is definitely on his size, and that would be the telling factor between those two if they ever met. That Bam Rodriguez would be just too small.
Well, you're listening to Fight Night live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Aston Villa. Can you hear me, Villa? You're my someone. Hello, beating Gabby Agbon. Oh, can you hear me, Gabby? You're my someone. Hello, beating Hooters, Villa Park, Bullring. Legs 11. Can you hear me, Legs 11? You're my someone. Hello, beating Prince Willie, Big Prince Willie. You're my someone. Hello, beating Andy Townsend, Randy Lerner, Ron Saunders, Dane Saunders, Ron Saunders, Dane Saunders, Ron Saunders, can you hear me, Saunders? You're my someone. Hello, beating Hooters, Jory Quarter, Cadbury's World, Jack Grealish, Gabby Agbon Lahore, can you hear me, Gabby? You're my someone. Hello, beating.
Hooters is in Nottingham, by the way.
Hooters, can you hear me, Hooters? You're my someone. Hello, beating. Hooters, can you hear me, Hooters? You're my someone. Hello, beating.
Nottingham Forest take the lead.
Hooters, can you
Oh,
hear me,
mate,
Hooters?
come on.
You're my someone. Hello, beating. Gabby Agbon Lahore, you're beating.
They go to Villa Park next week, 1-0 up. Another UEFA handball, though, leads to a penalty for Chris Wood. Villa fans, did you do enough tonight? It was a bit flat. 03 717 22 33 44. Vito Pereira, though, looking like a really good appointment for Nottingham Forest right now. Get involved in the show. Elsewhere, Crystal Palace, they got the job done. Tough away day against Shakhtar. They are on their way to the final. Massive, massive result for them. What a season they could end up having.
You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm very disappointed in Harjot, our producer tonight, who has not been using my trance playlist for the first time in several years, I want to say. So, Harj, little black mark for you there tonight, because I didn't have the chance to do a bit of bopping, but maybe we can do a bit of rock and roll in the next couple of sections, if possible. Thank you very much, Harjot. Spence, God, the time's passed very quickly tonight. It's always a pleasure to be with you on a Saturday night. talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel at the end of this section as well. Gorilla 3, Darren Till's Promotions, and BKB 54 in Manchester, where Paulie Malignaggi is fighting for the world title. He's with us on commentary next week, by the way, as well, up at Wardley Dubois. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Christian Mbili. Now, when I looked at this, it's Riyadh in September. It's Mexico versus the world, isn't it? It's Canelo against the world. I was slightly disappointed in this as a matchup. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm actually not.
Okay.
I think Christian Mbili is a tough guy. He's only got that one draw on his record. That was to Lester Martinez in his last fight, and that was an all-out war. But Mbili is very heavy-handed. He's got an incredible engine. You know, Canelo Alvarez, at this stage of his career, you go, maybe just starting to slide a little bit. We saw that performance against Terence Crawford. There's no injection of pace really now. It's a little bit one-paced, you know, with Canelo Alvarez. I think this is a dangerous fight for him, if I'm honest. Mbili will just keep coming. He has an incredible engine. He can whack. And this could be a tough night for him.
Do you feel that Canelo could have done more and come and had a UK fight, for example, with like a Hamza Shiraz at super middleweight, or a Chris Eubank fight? Because I do feel, rather like Ryan Garcia, and I put him in the same category, rather like Shakur Stevenson, rather like Deontay Wilder found when he came here, there's a great love for the British fans, and they realise it too late. Terence had a fight against Ricky Burns here, and we never forgot him, lightweight at the time. we always had a place for him in our hearts afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think these guys are missing out on that.
I think definitely Canelo Alvarez, who's, he's a global superstar, and, he's always talked about wanting to box in the UK, always talked about those big fights. Chris Eubank Jr. was a massive fight for him at that stage, and probably a very safe fight for him at that stage of his career as well, and he never took that opportunity. He chose to stay in America and box over there. And I think he might have missed the boat on that one because, like I say, Christian Mbili...
...stage in his career against Terence Crawford, literally stepping up 2.5 weight divisions to fight him at the time. And I think, to have heard Michael Buffer at Wembley Stadium or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium saying, de Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, the one and only Saul Canelo Alvarez. And I don't think we're going to get that in the UK.
No.
I think that time is passing. And I hope that we get Ryan Garcia over here because they only need a global press tour for Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia. And that fight is enormous here.
I totally agree with you. Huge here. But, this whole Netflix thing coming into the market now, with Ryan Garcia, Conor Benn. Conor Benn's making a name for himself stateside, and I think that
You're friends with him now, yeah?
No, I'm not friends with him now, no.
I thought you were friends, right? We did a little joint interview with him a couple of weeks ago, and you were all pally-pally. You didn't critique him at all.
We're not friends, but we're not friends. I stand by my my words. I was asked not to ask certain questions in that interview. It was fight week. I respected him as a fighter.
You did.
And we went through, I was professional, done the interview the way I did. I would like to have asked him other questions, but...
What, like what?
A little bit, just to explain himself a little bit more in depth about his reactions towards you, me. Wasn't our fault. What happened, but that's a different conversation.
You made it up with the Fishers yet as well, or not?
No.
John and John Fisher?
No, I haven't, mate.
See, I've made it up with all these people.
Well, listen,
you're tougher than me, though.
No, but...
you're tougher than the rest.
It's not about making it up because I never had any problems with them.
No, I know.
I'm just, my thing is, I've never had a problem with Conor Benn. I've never had a problem with Johnny
You just
Fisher.
wanted them to explain themselves.
I just say it as I see it. And if they don't like what I say, let's have the conversation. You haven't got to go and speaking on different networks, etc., and slagging me off for doing whatever. Come and tell me to my face. Let's have the conversation. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll explain my side. We'll have a cuddle and it's all done. It's not a personal attack on any of these guys. I'm just saying it as it is. I'm talking about the sport of boxing and a lot of the time defending the sport of boxing.
Well, I can vouch for you as well because privately I know how delighted you are that Conor Benn has been successful as a human being in life and that Johnny Fisher's recovering from what we consider to be 2 losses against Dave Allen.
Absolutely. Listen, and that's what it is. It was just my personal opinion on those losses, and that's what, and I said what it was. I didn't say that it was a disgrace that he got the decision. I said it was...
This is Johnny Fisher now,
yeah, Johnny Fisher. I was saying the judges made a disgraceful decision there in the way that the fight went. It is what it is. Look, it's not a personal attack on any of these guys, and if they've got a problem with it, come and see me. We can have a chat. No problem whatsoever.
Come and see him. He will have a chat with you, and there's no fear in the Omen, believe me. There is no fear in the man at all. Let me move on. I'm only playing. Adam Azim against Steve Claggett, at the OVO Arena, London, May the 30th. Wow, do we need to see this boy back in action?
Absolutely. Listen, it's a decent fight for him. Steve Claggett is a guy that went the distance with Teofimo Lopez. He pushed him. He's very tough. He comes forward. He's relentless in his attacks. It's a good test for Adam Azim at this stage of his career. This catapults him onto that world stage. He's a fringe contender at the moment. He's looking for those big breakthrough fights. Well, this is a good test for him at this stage of his career.
Chris Billum-Smith versus Ryan Rozicki. Zuffa Boxing, obviously, 6th of June in Bournemouth. Now, I don't know if this is the BIC or whether it's Bournemouth Football Ground.
BIC.
It's the BIC. Great stadium, just on the edge of the beach. Great time to have it. I hope we're down there covering it in many ways because we love going down for that early morning dip with Harry and Jamie Redknapp. Is it Jamie Redknapp?
Yep, Jamie and Mark.
And Mark, the early morning dip. I haven't done it yet. You do the sea dip. I need to do the sea dip with you in the mornings.
Mate, I've done it in February, and trust me, do you know what it is? The pain. Anyone that does this, and there'll be people listening now doing these dips, so they do it all year round, so their body acclimatises it all the time. But you know what I found the coldest thing for me? It was not getting in the water. Actually, getting in the water was the pleasure for me. Walking on that sand in February to get to the sea, right, because it's quite a long walk because you get changed at the top. My feet were so cold. Like I'm talking about pain that I can't explain. And when I got into the water, they actually they warmed up. And it was like.
And I called you the little guy that morning as well.
No, I think he said the very little guy.
Final one on that. Chris Billam-Smith, Ryan Riziki. Yeah. Obviously, Billam-Smith signed with Zuffa Boxing as well as Jaya Pataya. Will it be the Jaya Pataya fight next, do you believe?
Yes, I do believe it will be. And this is a tough test for him, though. Ryan Riziki, who's 3 fights, 21 wins, 1 defeat, 1 draw, 20 of those by KO. This kid's a decent fighter. Very, very tough. And stylistically, as we know with Chris Billam-Smith, he won't take a backward step himself. He can be hit. So it's going to be a fascinating fight, this one. And not an easy debut for Zuffa Boxing here for Chris Billam-Smith. Home advantage might be key. He might need those crowd because he's going to have some tough moments in there. Decent opponent. Good fight.
Yeah, and just to cap on fights coming up, fighters with fights coming up, Frank Warren hinting that Moses Tauma's next fight will be announced fairly soon. Could be August, could be September. We don't actually know yet. Now, in the SJA Awards, the Sports Journalists Awards, the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel got a bronze medal, which was great. It's grown to nearly, is it 280,000 subscribers now? We've got a couple of big events coming up on there very soon. We've got some little posters that are going to appear here right now. Gorilla 3, Darren Till's promotional organisation, is on May the 9th. We're in Manchester that night, but that is taking place, of course. And there's a 70-kilogram tournament. We got the that character Luke Dyson fighting Gavino. I'm sure that's not his real name, but these guys have been going viral, having arguments on socials for a long time. 70-kilogram prize fighter. Watch out for tournament. Watch out for Kai Nicholson. And the main event, Marcus Portman, the ex-English champion, against Joe Lister, a 21-year-old bare-knuckle fighter who's been training with Darren Till for the last 2 years. And the following weekend, we have BKB 54 in Manchester. Yep, there he is, the magic man, Paulie Malignaggi, who joins us on commentary next weekend at Wardley Dubois in Manchester, fighting Rolando D, whose father was a world champion boxer, in bare knuckle in Manchester. I'll be there working with the team. We have an enormous number of announcements next week. Major names joining the broadcast team and major names joining BKB. That's on the Boxing YouTube channel on May the 16th. I will be there as part of the team. You'll be at Dave Allen, Philip Hergovich that night.
There's loads going on. That's a great card, by the way. That's a tough fight there for Paulie Malignaggi. Very tough fight. You got to respect it. You have got to respect it. Any guy that gets in there, in that bare knuckle, that BKB, you got to respect him because, boy, that is tough. You think boxing's tough, you go in there and your hands are wrapped, you've got the gloves on. This is a whole different ball game. With respect to Paulie Malignaggi, and he's got a tough fight on the 16th.
Very, very tough. But wait, you'll be really shocked when you hear who's going to be working with me in Manchester on the 16th. Don't say it out loud.
I'm not going to say it. But what I will say about BKB is what they're doing is that they are attracting these, ex-world champions.
Gamboa, Victor Ortiz. Lee Selby's fighting in Cardiff in a couple of weeks' time as well.
They're making moves, mate. It's a global business, a global enterprise that they're doing here, and they are putting on some great fights, some great shows.
On that 28 years later, which it is tonight, do you reckon? And I'm just saying, if nothing had happened to you, because the way you fought me at 5 a.m. in Poland when we were in Wrocław, remember?
Yeah,
you didn't fight me, but we'd had a few sherbets that night.
We'd had a few tequilas, mate.
Yeah, we had a few tequilas. It was 5 a.m, and you were suddenly buzzing because you'd lost your phone. We went back and we found your phone in the bar, which was a buzz.
Yeah,
we got back to the hotel and you were like buzzing and you were dancing around me, and I thought, man, he could fight in any environment with any type of combat sport. Could you have done bare knuckle at some point, do you think?
I think I could have done it for sure.
Would you have done it if you were still a young guy?
It's difficult to say because I've not been in the moment now.
You were 26 now and they were asking you if you could sign for a ton of bucks.
When I think back, because we've had this conversation before, and I said I don't know if I'd do it, if I wouldn't do it and all that, but when I think back to when I was that age, when I was young and dumb.
You would.
And what I'm saying is that if I had I was
you
fearless.
Versus Tyler Goodjohn.
I was fearless.
You versus Tyler Goodjohn.
I would have murdered Tyler Goodjohn. I was too clever for him. Too clever for him. But the difference was that, Tyler was very, very tough, and he keeps coming, and that was his thing. But I was tough as well. Do you know what I
you're
mean? I
very,
couldn't get to
very-
it. It's like I couldn't have got to where I got to without not getting down in the trenches. Forget that whether the gloves are on or the gloves weren't on. Once you're in the zone, you're in the zone.
Would you have beaten Paulie Malignaggi in bare knuckle?
It's an interesting fight, that, because I would have had a lot of strength in that fight. It's an interesting fight, but we're different weight categories, but it was a very interesting fight. I'd say
Not so different now.
Maybe, no, I'm probably heavier than him now. But, like, as you can see, if anyone's watching the YouTube channel.
Look at the guns on it. Look at
You know what I
the
mean?
guns
We're
on
not
it.
talking fat here.
We're talking fantasy
we're
as
not
well. We're also talking fantasy.
No, yeah. Listen, I think I would have done. I think I would have done very well in BKB. The answer to your question is, would I have done it? Probably, yeah. Because at a young age, you're sort of careless, you're reckless, and I would have gone in there. It's all about challenges, and I think that's what it is.
And that's live on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel from Manchester on May the 16th. Tori, all the best wishes to Paulie Malignaggi, who joins us next week on talkSPORT. You're watching, you're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. We'll be back after this.
Mikel Arteta obviously hasn't been able to call on Bukayo Saka enough over the course of this period. We know he's had a bit of an Achilles problem. Does he still look to you like he's struggling for a little bit of fitness?
Yes.
And if that's the case, how long is that going to take to sort out?
It's going to need managing between now and the end of the season.
He hasn't had surgery on it, has he?
No, and obviously you've got the World Cup coming up as well, and he's going to be a key man there. I wonder how many minutes he'll get this weekend. He got, 21 plus stoppage time in midweek. You think maybe he might get half an hour, 45, and then possibly start against Atletico Madrid. But it's certainly a problem.
Some of these niggling injuries, though.
Well.
Some of these injuries wouldn't surprise me. Saka's still struggling, Sam. And he's come to the stage where he's come back because it's crunch time for Arsenal, even with an injury. There's so many injuries, Crookie, that injections to get you through it, and then you're sore until you play again. You don't train. So they've got to be careful with Saka. But
that was the idea of having the big squad, wasn't it? That
Exactly.
You could afford to rotate a bit more.
when players aren't turning up, Madueke starts the game bright against Atletico Madrid, fades, looks angry, and he comes off. I don't know why you don't do enough. Odegaard, your captain, you're not doing enough. Eze's probably been the bright spark in the last few games for Arsenal.
It wasn't a bad result, though, was it?
No, not at all. Oh, great result. Great result. But it's not just this game, Sam. It's the game before against Newcastle. The fans, they're anxious. It showed the fans all through the game against Newcastle. They're biting the nails. After 50 minutes, they're nervous.
It doesn't seem to come easy to Arsenal at the moment. They don't seem to have it in their locker to...
hasn't come easy to them all season.
To cruise through games and just put teams to the sword, as they did actually with Atletico in the league phase. You know, that 4-0 victory seems a long time in the past.
There we go. Finally, a little bit of dance music for the night. Thank you, Harjot. I do appreciate you dropping in a bit of music. It's about this time of night that we do begin the clubbing here on Fight Night on talkSPORT.
It's the warm-up period, isn't it? It's the warm-up stage.
Well, it's just going out time now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You coming out tonight?
You're just loosening up, mate.
It's bank holiday. It's May bank holiday. Are you coming out tonight or not?
I might possibly come.
No, you
I
won't. You'll be home in bed. You'll have a little beer at 10 to 1 when you get home, and you go to sleep, and you'll get up and walk the dog in the morning, go for breakfast with the missus.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it is. And she's living the dream with you, and you're living the dream with her. And we are celebrating tonight, and I hasten to add, 28 years since that horrible night, Spencer Oliver, that on May the 2nd, 1998, at the Royal Albert Hall, Sergei Devakov, I've said it many times tonight, you survived a horrific injury, which we're going to talk about towards the end of the show. But man, I'm so pleased you're still here.
Yeah, thank God. You know, somebody up there was with me that night for sure.
For a long time, and you're so healthy now, and your intellect returned. You had to learn to read and write again. You had to learn to think again, to speak again. All those things that people forget now.
Listen, I had to learn to walk and talk again. It was a serious thing. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. You know, it was one of those things where travelling to the Royal Albert Hall, waking up 2 weeks later, still thinking you're at the Royal Albert Hall, and having to rebuild your whole life again at a young tender age of 23. Yeah. You know, it's been a roller coaster for sure.
We're going to go into that in the closing minutes of the show tonight, because it's only right that we do so. We love you very much, Spencer. Later tonight, we've dealt with two of the great pound-for-pound fighters in Japan earlier on at the Tokyo Dome. That obviously has gone ahead. Inoue defeated Junto Nakatani. For me, goes to number one pound-for-pound in the world after that. David Benavidez steps up to cruiserweight tonight. Cinco de Mayo weekend, 5th of May, big Mexican holiday, traditional pay-per-view event. PBC, which we don't hear about a lot these days. PBC event promoting this. Benavidez aiming to conquer another weight division, taking on unified cruiserweight champion Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez in Las Vegas esta noche. I won't speak any more Spanish right now because I might confuse you. Cruiserweight for the WBA and WBO titles. Right moment for Benavidez to step up?
I think it's the right moment. Listen, it's a calculated gamble for Benavidez against a great champion in Zurdo Ramirez. You know, a pound-for-pound star in his own right, Ramirez. But David Benavidez challenges for those pound-for-pound rankings as well, because if he steps up and beats a credible champion like Gilberto Ramirez and makes a statement in doing that, you go, David Benavidez has just put his name in the argument as pound for pound one of the best out there. You know, we saw...
I've got him 7 or 8 at the moment.
Yeah, that's where he's at. That's about right at the moment. You know, we saw the job that he done on Anthony Yard, who's a good fighter himself. He went out there, he dismantled Anthony Yard.
That's the right word, dismantled.
Dismantled Anthony Yard and done it in brilliant fashion. He's moved through the ranks, super middleweight. He's gone up to light heavyweight, now challenging at cruiserweight. Zurdo Ramirez, very tough. Output incredible, just keeps going, but I think he might be just off the mark, a little bit too slow for the smaller but quicker Benavidez. And Benavidez, for me, if he's the fighter that I think he is, I think Benavidez wins a tough battle, but I think Benavidez comes through there and possibly gets the late stoppage.
So it begs the question, we know that, or I think we can accept that Saul Canelo Alvarez, who was really a career middleweight, who went up to 12 stone super middleweight. Both these men, Zurdo Ramirez and David Benavidez, were originally world level fighters at 12 stone at super middleweight.
Yeah.
But obviously have moved up to 200 pounds as they've got older, filled out more. For me, Benavidez is still... He could potentially go to number one pound for pound in the world, in my view, because he's got the opponents there to be able to do that. Because if he looks impressive, I got him winning on points tonight against Zurdo Ramirez. Or if Ramirez decides, the Golden Southpaw as he's known, of course, if he decides to get, or has to get drawn into a pitch battle tonight, which he's capable of, because we saw him do that against Chris Billam-Smith, who's more of a yeoman at that elite level, but... there's no doubt how tough Chris Billam-Smith is and a massive entertainer. If Benavidez draws Zurdo into a pitched battle, into the trenches, I think he can stop Zurdo.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Gareth. But do you know what it is with Benavidez and Ramirez? This is where we're at with it. Ramirez, for me, is the completed article. What you see is what you get, and I don't think we're going to get any improvements from Ramirez. He's at the top of his game right now. Not saying he's on the decline, at the top of his game, and the next time we won't see him improving. We'll just see him slightly declining, whenever that may be. That might be 2 years, might be 5 years, might be 10 years down the road. But what I'm saying about David Benavidez is he's still very much not the finished article. He's improving all the time, and that is the difference between them right now. Benavidez, we might see a new improved Benavidez from the last one we saw against Anthony Yarde. You know, this kid just seems to be getting better and better and better, and I think that is the difference between the two.
Well, we got two great fighters, two great champions tonight called the Monster. We got the Monster Inoue, who's already proven what a monster he is, and I do think that Benavidez, it's the biggest platform May the 5th.
Yeah.
On the American platform for boxing. They're 2 weekends, the first or second Saturday in September and the first Saturday in May have always been traditionally when Manny Pacquiao, when Floyd Mayweather, when Saul Canelo Alvarez have all fought, because that is the traditional, as I said earlier, that's the big pay-per-view weekends. That's the time that Mexican holidays, it's a huge Mexican audience of millions that watch the big fights. For me, Benavidez, if he can be the true monster tonight and stop Ramirez, for me, if he gets that fight with Jaya Pataya at cruiserweight, having gone up from super middle to he's to light heavy, to cruiserweight, he could even do, if he beats Jaya Pataya, wait for this, Jaya Pataya at cruiserweight, which he's capable of in my view. He's got that ability. If his weight and his strength and his power and his speed carries up to beat Zerdo, and he beats Jaya Pataya, I think he might do what John Jones, to what Roy Jones did all those years ago, and potentially step up and have a heavyweight fight.
Listen, the potential is definitely there, because what we've got with the modern era of heavyweights is they are smaller. They might be heavier, but like this new turn, you know, we've gone through the Anthony Joshuas and your Tyson Furies, the 6'9" and 6'7" and 17.5 stone, gone up to 20 stone type guys. And the Moses, the likes of like the Moses Atama, who are now, you know, the leading lights coming through. Yes, he is heavier, but what I'm saying is they're a smaller generation.
All right, let me say this. If Benavidez comes through tonight against Zerdo Ramirez, let's say Fabio Wardley, someone like Fabio Wardley was holding the WBO title, would he be capable of beating a Fabio Wardley?
Well, it's difficult to say because you don't know how he's
too big.
No, I just think that it's difficult because we don't know how he will develop into that weight. So what we got with David Benavidez, to explain it, what we got with David Benavidez, what his main assets right now? Yeah, he's got a great boxing IQ, but it's the output, the speed of the punch, the speed of the
directness of his fighting,
setting the traps, and all of that sort of stuff. Well, at cruiserweight, he may just lose that edge a little bit because he's putting on the pounds. So that will ultimately slow him down a little bit. Now you move up to heavyweight. Now we're talking about a whole different kettle of fish because he might lose, what makes him special because he's put on too much weight, but he also might not. And if he don't, we've got a different proposition on our hands. So you can't really predict it until they get there.
Yeah,
we didn't know Alexander Usyk was going to be as good at heavyweight as what he's turned out, did we? When he boxed Derek Chisora all those years ago in his second heavyweight
title, he looks a little vulnerable.
He looked very vulnerable.
Yeah.
You thought this kid's not going to crack it. He's not going to dominate world heavyweight division. Look what's gone on since then. Tyson Fury twice, Daniel Dubois twice, Anthony Joshua twice, and become one of the all-time greats. He could fall into that bracket. We just don't know until he gets there.
I completely agree with you. I'm talking more instinctively. I feel that there may be something special about him. We're looking for global stars at the moment. Moses Tauma's on the rise. Bam Rodriguez, Inoue will be generational. Fury and Joshua will fight, and that will be the end of this era of the heavyweights. The new era begins. I just feel that Benavidez, what is he, 28? 29?
He's 28, but he's in that conversation, by the way, Gareth, and you're right in what you're saying. You picked up something absolutely spot on there. You go, we could be out of nowhere, not even seeing this, but this guy could be one of these generational greats where in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, we're going, remember when Benavidez was a super middleweight? Look what he's gone on to do. He's that Roy Jones type guy. Look, what I'm saying is he has the potential to do that. Whether he can do that, only... time will tell.
There's another fight there for him as well, by the way, before we go to break. Dimitri Bivol against David Benavidez at cruiserweight.
Yep.
Again, remember when Turki Al-Sheikh, I think at the time, got ahead of himself slightly and got prematurely excited about Dimitri Bivol when he knocked out Zorro in Riyadh and said, I want to see Jaya Pataya, Ellis Zorro. I want to see... a beautiful human being, by the way, Ellis. We've had him on the show before. I want to see Dimitri Bivol against Jaya Pataya. Yes, it's a very exciting prospect, but I'd almost rather see Dimitri Bivol fight David Benavidez if he comes through this as well, because stylistically, That's an extraordinary fight. Think about the style, Spence.
Wait, I am. And do you know what's come straight to mind and one that would excite me beyond belief is Jai Opataya versus Moses Atauma at heavyweight. What a fight that would be. You know, when we're talking about, you know, two guys that like a lot of movement, have got incredible speed, incredible power, IQ, all of that, all moulded into one. Jai Opataya, a dominant force at cruiserweight. We all believe he's going to move up to heavyweight once he becomes undisputed, and I believe he will become undisputed.
He could be the boogeyman for Moses Atauma.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is you need a dance partner, don't you? When we're looking at Moses Atauma going, who's that dance partner going to be? Because all the leading lights are now getting old and they're in the twilight of their career. Where's Moses' dance partner? Is it Fabio Wardley? Is it Daniel Dubois? We go, we need someone else as well. Who is that guy? You know, we're talking about it could be a Ramirez, or it could be
Benavidez, or it could be Opataya,
or it could be an Opataya. What I'm saying is that could be the dance partner,
or it could be Jalalov. Baldemir Jalalov.
It's a good shout.
Because we will see him next weekend as well when we do the broadcast.
Yes.
We will watch him live. He's been around a long time. Double Olympic champion, as you say. He's done that semi-pro thing that was going on for a while. World Boxing Series, went back into the Olympics.
Won a
He's
gold
a big man. He's a great presence. You've been around him a few times. We were in Istanbul with him, weren't we?
Yeah, we were, and I commentated out in Paris on his Olympic final.
Yeah,
I'd done his Olympic final, covered that, you know, so I was in...
He's formidable, isn't he?
He's formidable. You know, you watched him, he was a standout amateur. We saw him... it was when you were allowed to have professional bouts and go back in. I think he was 10-0 with 10 KOs in the professional ranks, and then went back into the Olympics and won a gold medal for a second time. But you just looked at it and you go, yeah, you're looking at potential greatness here. It's going to be interesting to see his development now. Queensbury Boxing, Frank Warren, who's got it all wrapped up, like you say, he's probably got 12 of the top 16 heavyweights out there right now, which is great for Queensbury because we're getting the best versus the best. They're putting on these great matchups, and Jolalov is in that mix as well.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to come back and talk about 28 years ago when Spencer survived his last fight with some catastrophic results out of that fight as well, when he had suffered a brain hemorrhage, but he's still with us. But also, I'm going to test you a little bit on things that happened that year as well in boxing. I'm just going to bring you back into it. I hope it's not going to be an emotional end to the show tonight. It's great to have you with us as always, Spencer, and it's great you're with us tonight as we enter the last section of Fight Night on talkSPORT. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. All your favourite games, all in one place. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
You seem to think that there is some connection between the nationality of the Forest manager and the nationality of the official.
You can't go
doing that on social media and then not expect us to bring it up.
No. What I said was, should we look into that? I'm not saying that's the reason, but VAR official was Portuguese, not the referee. The referee, he had a fantastic game, by the way, the ref, I thought. Maybe he didn't see that incident, but for VAR official, his name is Tiago Martins, Portuguese referee. For him to not tell the ref to come and look at the screen of that tackle, I was very disappointed in. Listen, first of all, Elliot Anderson was the best player on the pitch.
What about the nutmeg on Rodgers?
I know, that's his mate as well, and he's posted it on his socials as well. But no one can tell me that watches football week in, week out, that's not a red card. Because did he get the ball first? You can argue yes. But we've seen so many players get red cards in the last 2 years when you follow through and you hit a player like that, what can stay down, the ball went out of play, how can the referee not be told to go to VAR? Baffling.
I think you're absolutely right, but I also don't think Aston Villa were good enough in the game.
Oh, 100%. I'm not making excuses for Villa's performance. Buendia, soft player, not good enough for Aston Villa. Onana, made out of straw. 26 Premier League games you played last season, missed 12 games, played 24 Premier League games this season, injured again. Whenever it's a game where it's easy, he'll throw his hands up to the whole end and celebrate and get them going. When it's a tough game, he'll come off injured. So I agree, missed chances, not good enough, but that is a red card.
May. 3rd of May in 10 minutes time is what I was going to say. So we've got 7 minutes to celebrate the 2nd of May, 28 years ago. It's the end of your birthday, if you like, right now. You fought Sergei Devakov at the Royal Albert Hall. When you sit here 28 years later, in your early 50s now, after catastrophe for several months, if not years, where everyone around you was worried they were going to lose you, where you lost your livelihood, the thing you love so much that you're still involved in today. When you look back now, what are your memories of I know your memory failed you for a few weeks, but what are your memories now of that moment, that time?
I just look back on it now, Gareth, as a celebration. You know, when I think back to what I went through, like the roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster that I went through, like at a young, tender age of just turned 23, defending my European title defending my European title, you know, for the 4th time, and load of pressure on my shoulders, being the next big British superstar of boxing. You know, there was
sparring with Nazim Hamed at the time. I think you were ranked 8 in the world. Were you
number 2 in the world?
2 in the world.
I was ranked above Manny Pacquiao.
You were ranked above Pacquiao. Yes,
that's right. I was in an unbelievable position. It was only a matter of time before I was boxing for a world title. I had all the media behind me. Everyone was pushing me, Sky Sports, all the papers. I was in an unbelievable position. I was going in a mandatory defence against a guy called Sergei Devakov, who...
Bulgarian?
Ukrainian. Yeah, I won the European title off the Bulgarian.
And then fought the Ukrainian, yeah.
That's it, the Ukrainian in my 4th defence. I was going in there, it was a routine defence. The 2 guys that he had lost to, I'd beaten in previous defences, and I was going through there, and things were going on outside the ring, and training camp went well, but I was struggling with the weight a little bit and whatnot, and I went in there and I got caught in the first round. I got floored in the first round. You've got thousands of blood vessels in and around the brain. One of those blood vessels had burst in my brain, and so they become like little bits of straw. And one of them, it lost its elasticity. One of them snapped. I had a heavy nosebleed that was coming from a vessel in the brain, and I eventually collapsed in the 10th round. Went into a coma for 2 weeks. They had to open me up. I've got 98 staples in my head. I had to learn to walk again, talk again. I come out. I remember looking around the hospital room 2 weeks later. And I was thinking, wow, I remember being at a fight. I was sure I was in a fight, involved in a fight. I'm thinking I'm at the Royal Albert Hall, and I'm thinking I must be in the dressing room. Looking around, I've got a doctor there saying, do you know who this is? And I'm nodding because I had a ventilator in my mouth, and I'm nodding and says, it's my mum, and that's my dad. And so I'm responding to everyone. They're thinking, great. Then they're pushing ballpoint pens in my hands and my feet to see because what happened was, whilst I was in the coma, my pupils stayed dilated. So the doctor told my mum, look, I think he's going to come through. It was a 50-50 chance at first, and then that was improving all the time. I said, look, I think he's going to come through, your son, but I think he's paralysed down his left side because his pupils and where the injury was, it looks like he's paralysed down his left side, and he could be blind because his pupil's not reacting to the light. So I come out and so they're doing all that. I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I'm just thinking I've had a bad knockout because I'm thinking I remember having a fight. I thought I had a bad knockout, and then as the days went on, they asked me to get up and walk, and I still was not really understanding what it was because I was so heavily medicated on different sedated and whatnot. Yeah. I had to learn to walk again. I'm thinking, whoa, what's going on? Like, this is bad. I might be out the ring for a year or so. Still didn't even think my career was over. I had to learn to walk again and talk again, and just sort of like things I had to rebuild. I had to rebuild my life at a young age, and it was like mental health was not a thing then, Gareth. It wasn't talked about. No one really knew about it. So I had everyone saying to me, Spence, that's amazing. You know, look at Michael Watson and what he had to go through, and because of what happened to Michael Watson, look how you've turned out. You're up and you're walking, and you look like you're getting back to full health. I went, the shell's okay, but inside is dead. The pain that I was going through, and I had no one to talk to because nothing was working out. So I had to rebuild my life from virtually nothing. Yeah, and it was a tough journey.
Have you celebrated today with your wife?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I celebrate when I wake up in the morning now. Yeah, absolutely. I wake up in the morning now and I just look and I just like, it's a celebration where I went from probably the best part of 15, 16, 17 years where I used to sit in a dark room and cry and just wonder why it happened to me and why my life was, ripped apart and what, what it was happening.
Still love boxing though, yeah?
Oh, I'm passionate about it.
Even though it almost killed you.
Oh, absolutely passionate about it. It gave me a life that I would never have had. And what I'd done was, and this is a good lesson for everybody that's listening to this. This is a life lesson. That what I'd done was I had to, at one stage in my life, when I hit rock bottom and lost everything, I lost my house, I lost everything. I ended up getting divorced, and like the whole thing was blown up. And I went back to my mum's with a sack on my back with my clothes, and I thought, right, Spence, you've hit your lowest point now. What are you going to do? How are you going to turn this around? Only you can do it, but you've got the story to do it because no one's been through what you've been through and come back the way you'd have. And I wrote a letter to Sky Sports and I said, listen, you've seen what I've been through. You know what it is. I want you to give me an opportunity. They give me an opportunity. And I just rebuilt my life. And I just thought, because no one, that negativity just pushes people away. But you want that positive impact on people. And they go, look what this kid's been through and how he can still turn his life around, open another door. And I built another career in doing what I'm doing now. Some people don't agree with a lot of stuff that I say, by the way,
or any of it.
Absolutely. But look, I've built a good career now. And that was down to me. Like, I couldn't feel sorry for myself.
Well, in 1998, we've only got a minute and a half left. In 1998, boxing was defined by the rise of new legends and the continued dominance of established heavyweight champions. We said goodbye to you in the sport, but it was the professional debut and first world title for which legend?
Professional debut and first world title in 1998. So that was not. That's the era before Lennox Lewis. Go on.
Floyd Mayweather. Okay. Lennox Lewis.
Oh yeah, because he got the bronze in 1996. That's right.
He did. Lennox Lewis defended his WBC title by defeating who by technical knockout in the 5th round on March the 28th.
5th round knockout.
You know him well.
Oh yeah, Shannon Briggs.
Oh, well done. Mike Tyson was reinstated after doing what in 1997?
Bruce Seldon. He won the world title again off Bruce Seldon after.
No, he was reinstated after biting Evander Holyfield's ear.
Okay.
It's been a real pleasure being with you tonight, Spencer.
I was enjoying that.
Yeah, it was. Well, we will do more every other time. You've been watching and listening to Fight Night and talkSPORT with myself, Gareth Davis, and the brilliant, wonderful, and very much alive Spencer Oliver. We will be back next week in Manchester with Wardley versus Dubois for the WBO title. Good night for now.